my computer did something weird. Okay. I think we're live. It says 000, so it says live on the thing. We're just gonna go for it, okay? I'm gonna start from the very beginning. I don't know if there's a way I can get this going. Okay. Make this bigger. Make it bigger on the screen here. I don't even know. Okay, hopefully it's going live. I don't know. Whatever. There it goes. Okay, now it's counting to the clock, so I don't know if we were already live. But if we weren't, Grand Rising! So, this is really scary for me to share because I'm gonna get real deep and raw about my entire existence. Not my entire existence, because we'd be here all day long. If I gave my whole life story, which I plan to write a book about, we would be here all day long. And a lot of this is going to go into childhood trauma and how it affects you in your future life. And whatever I say in here, I'm going to try not to name names. I'm going to try not to, whether it's a mom, dad, whatever, I'm just going to say my parent. I'm going to try to just word it as my parent, so I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I know my mom's upset with me right now because she says I'm posting about her on the internet. Well, one thing my mom told me when I was younger is if you don't want people knowing the things that you did, then don't do them. And I lived by that. After she said that to me, I lived by it. Okay? The same woman, again, not to talk shit, would go and gossip and use information about people against them. Okay? She's treated people horribly. She's treated me horribly. And I'm not trying to out her. Okay? This is just like my story. And that's how I knew when it came to Andrew what Kirsten was doing, because I was like, I grew up with one of those, except for this one is way worse than mine. Like, very petty, Christian, Nazi, authoritarian. If you don't act the way I want you to act, we're gonna have issues. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of shit. So, I'm gonna start from the beginning. When I was, I want to say 5 years old, or not 5 years old, when I was 5 months old, as a kid, I always had this memory of me being at an outdoor wedding. Like, since, I knew I was a baby. I feel like I remember sitting in my grandpa's lap, but I can't see the whole day. I don't remember the whole day. I just remember sitting on a lap at an outdoor wedding. And later in life, I asked my mom, I was like, was that you and Dad's wedding? Because I remember being at an outdoor wedding. And she was like, no, that was Chris and Jen's, but you would remember that. You weren't even old enough. You're like 5 months old. So she's telling me, another human is telling me what I remember. Telling me what truth is about my own life. I don't like that, okay? And this is where the story is going to keep going. So I had that memory. So then my next memories are about 3-4 years old. Me and my siblings are playing ball out in the backyard. We lived in Dana Point at the time. I'm pretty sure we lived in Dana Point, California. I remember this. It was like a smaller house. We had like a playhouse in one of our rooms. We were playing ball, and at the time my dad lived there. We were playing ball, and one of us, I don't know what happened, I got bumped into the grill. So I got a big, I don't know if it was this arm or this arm, I can't remember exactly what arm, but I got a big burn on my arm. My dad had to put cream on it. Another time I got a splinter by the fence. My dad wanted to stick a big needle in my finger, like one of those pins, to get the splinter out. And I was like, no, Dad! Like, I have these memories at 3 years old, you guys. I have memories from when I was a child, okay? Very young. Very, very young. And I remember them. I don't know who this was. My sister thinks it was my mom's ex-boyfriend. I think it was my dad. It doesn't matter. We were forced to stand next to the toilet as a man was peeing in front of us. And I remember one time, I don't know if it was my real dad or if it was my stepdad. That's something I'm not remembering, but my sister has a different memory. But anyways, we both had this memory of this happening. And I remember running. I remember them making me mad or being mean over, so I ran into the room and ran in the playhouse, the plastic playhouse that we had in the bedroom. And I got in trouble for hiding. I wasn't allowed to have my own space. I just got in trouble for hiding in my own house. Like, again, I was 3 at the time, 4 maybe, but, like, not a reason. Again, I don't know the exact order of these events, but then also, around that same time, I remember my parents screaming at each other, fighting all the time, like, constantly yelling at each other. And I remember my mom going and sitting in the bathroom, and I sat down next to her as she cried. Okay, I was 4 years old at this time, like 3 or 4, whatever. Watching my mom cry, and my dad came in, he's like, Stephanie, get out of there right now. Like, he didn't want me in there with my mom, but it's like, so then I didn't agree with that with my dad, not allowing me to console my mom as a child. Like, I just felt like that, like, I wanted to sit next to my mom while she cried. And then we moved into my grandparents' house where we lived there, and I remember stalling 2 quarters. I was chewing on money, you guys, how gross, right? I know it's gross, a lot of people, but I was like chewing on 2 quarters. and I remember swallowing them, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna be in so much trouble. I don't even know if I'm sure I passed them at some point, but anyways, that happened. Um, so then, again, we have other memories too. I remember my grandparents had a swimming pool and we had to go swimming, and I used to sneak downstairs and I would eat the butter off the plate, and I would get scared my grandma was gonna find out. My sister would sneak down the stairs or on the back of her kitchen. She had a stairway that came down, and over this way was, oh, it's flipped on my screen, but where I'm looking, it was like this way was like the living room, and then this way on this side was where like there's a dining room, and then like it went through a door into the kitchen, and we used to sneak around this door and like eat the butter off the plate. Like me and my sister did some crazy shit. Okay, we had fun. And I also in that same, I think it was that same house. I know for sure my nightmare, this recurring nightmare I had when I was little, was so all my sister's skin fell off and she's hiding. I told her to hide under the bunk bed because my dad wanted to throw it in the garbage. And I had this recurring nightmare a lot as a child. Like it really haunted me that all my little sister's skin fell off and my dad wanted to throw her in the garbage, which was like a horrifying dream I had as a child. I'm dead bland. And I'll explain, hopefully I remember, I'll explain why that nightmare matters later. So let's see. Oh yeah, and then my older sister. Okay, then we moved into this house in Mission Viejo. My mom had a new relationship with someone who was not very nice, did not have a lot of patience for kids, and in that same house, me and my little sister had this babysitter named Jean or Jeannie. I can't remember her exact name. Who was abusive, very abusive. I watched her grab my sister by the arm aggressively and all because I pranked her. I did a prank on her. I thought I was being silly and goofy. I did a prank on her, and then I told her I wouldn't tell on her, and then I told on her, and that was my prank. And she got beat for that by a babysitter. So you don't always know who's watching your children, okay? And then I also watched her do the same thing to her son, or her grandson, for peeing his pants in the car. She got him out of the car. She was spanking him outside because he peed in the car, and I'm like, oh my god, dude. Like, it was just very traumatizing as a kid, so I knew, shh, stay in line, be quiet. Like, I am, and then we didn't have that babysitter very long, thankfully. I remember at a young age in that same house, my older sister had this imaginary friend named Fred. So I made up the name. There's actually a boy, I mean, I'm friends with him on Facebook. His name's Stephen Hawkins. And he was my first crush. We met at this, like, nature center in first grade, and then after we got off the bus, like, I had this little prickly thing in my hand, I kept poking him in the nose. We ended up getting off the bus, and we all got to have like free time, play time outside, and we were both like taking turns in the swings, and we were just like laughing and giggling and having so much fun. But he was in a different class than me, and I remember he just was showing me so much kindness and love that I had a huge crush on him. Well, this girl I was in Girl Scouts with named Emily was his neighbor, and so I mean, I remember experiencing jealousy at 6 years old. I think I was 6 at the time. I experienced jealousy. Also, I know that this is very uncomfortable for people to hear, but I started masturbating at 5 years old. No one taught me how to do it, okay? I just knew that, like, no one else should see, but listen, I was very young when I started doing stuff. And again, nobody showed me, nobody did anything to me like that as a child that I remember, right? But I do remember stuff that, like, I was very connected to self, and, like, I remember I've kissed people in my, like, kids in my family, not because I was sexual or anything. I didn't know what sex was at the time, okay? I did not know what any of that was. But I was very curious. I was very curious with the things I was seeing in movies and everything around me, and I wanted to, like, the kissing in movies that I saw was so powerful. I could feel the energy through the movie that I wanted to experience that, because I was not experiencing the love that I needed in my home. So anyways, back to that experiencing jealousy with that Emily girl. My sister had an imaginary friend, my older sister had an imaginary friend named Fred. So I made up the name Emily Lynn, because my middle name's Lynn. So I was like, Emily Lynn. I see a girl named Emily Lynn. I made it up. I never actually saw anybody. I made the whole thing up, whatever. So then one night, my little sister, she wet the bed, and we called my mom, and it was dark, of course. Like, my older sister had her bedroom closest to the front door. Then my little sister, then down this way was my mom and her boyfriend's bedroom. But across the hall kitty corner, see, I hate that it does the opposite on here, because it's actually this way if I was doing it in the video. But anyways, they walked across the hallway. My mom said, well, Stephanie, you better go to the bathroom to make sure you have to go. Okay. So I walk across the hallway, and I swear to God, you guys, it was dark in my house. I looked down and it was a one-level house. We lived in California. There's no basements. There's no stairs upstairs. It was just a one-level house because it's California. We don't need basements. So I looked down the hallway, and there's a little girl waving at me, smiling at me around the corner. You guys, I stopped dead in my tracks in the doorway of the bathroom, realizing what I just saw, and I ran back into my bedroom. I was like, "Mom, there's a little girl. She was waving at me." I was crying hysterical because it was scary to experience that as like a 6-year-old or 5 or whatever. I think I was 6 years old at the time, and so that scared me. So then my mom, she was like, she took me and my little sister, and she's like, go, 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 go. You know, like we went to her bedroom, and then she had her boyfriend go out and check the house, and he's like, oh, it's probably a raccoon or something. And at the time, I'm like, what? In my head, I'm thinking, a raccoon in our house? It was, you know, I don't know what he thinks I saw. I was a kid. Of course, I was a kid, so it was just disregarded. Everything I said was disregarded. Didn't even listen. Whatever. My mom did. My mom remembers this, because she's also shared the story later on. Because I have something later in life that actually connected back to the story, which I'm friends with the family on Facebook. So, anyways, going on to, hi, you want some of these toys? You want one of these? So, then let's go into the next house. Our house, my address was 22222 Rock Hill Drive. You can look this address up. It was a house on a mountain, like a big hill, like a mountain. The houses were sporadic. Our neighbors had horses, which is a really cool experience because we got to have a lot of fun. I was saying, neighbors had these big tires, like a big tractor tire. They also had wagons, and we lived on a hill, so we actually used to race down. You guys, we cheated death, let me tell you. We used to race down on these wagons where he would, like, you know, steer them, like sitting in them and just like going down these hills. And the only way to stop, you guys, was to cross there's these dirt roads that came up all over the place on these hills, but then there's like the main road, which it wasn't like a main road like you'd see if you're in Rosemount, whatever, like a Pilot Knob kind of road. It was like still not that many cars, but it was like the main, like the paved road, down the hill. So the only way to stop was to go back, like to go across that street and then go up the hill and then slow down and come back this way. You know, there's no stopping unless we all put our feet down, which we were kids, we didn't think about that. So I would say I definitely have cheated death before as a kid. Just invincible. That's how kids live. We're just very invincible. That was my favorite house. We had the most adventures. We lived on an empty riverbank. So we got to like these big boulders and stuff. We got to play in these big boulders. And actually, I remember when we moved into this house, we moved in on a Saturday. On a Sunday, there was these wildfires, and we actually had to evacuate our house. We just moved all of our stuff in. We had to evacuate our house that same weekend or the next weekend or whatever. So that was exciting stuff in our lives. We had to go stay at a friend's, one of my mom's, whatever, boyfriend's friend's house, whatever. And then we got to go home, and we went back to our house, you guys, and I kid you not, there was black. Like, we had like a horseshoe driveway with a little bit of a driveway pavement and a wood brown house. And before we left, my mom's ex-boyfriend sprayed water all over the house, and the fire literally went around the house and met back in the middle of our backyard. Like, it didn't burn our house down, and they were renting anyways, so if it did, like, but all of our stuff was in there, so that would have been really disastrous and really sad if all of our stuff burned down. So I just see, like, the ways that I've been divinely protected and guided in my life. But anyways, we lived there at this house. We had a next door neighbor named Cecil. We used to dress him up. We had a downstairs, like, it wasn't a basement per se because it was California, but it was like you had the main floor, and then the only way to get to this downstairs area was you had to walk out the back door onto the deck, walk around. There's like the master bedroom door, and then you'd walk down around the stairs and come down, and then like underneath the house was like a room, which the people who lived there before had all these bird cages and birds and stuff, so we used that as our playroom. And we would play witches. We would like mix berries together and play witches. I remember we got these library books that was talking about witches, whatever. We played dress up all the time. We played Barbies. It was just our playroom. I remember we also popped a beanbag, and my mom was not happy because there was stuff all over. The inside of the beanbags were like, it's staticky. It's sticking to everything. It was all of our dress up clothes and this trunk that we had. But anyways, we had this neighbor Cecil, and it was funny, you guys. It was innocent. It was funny. We used to dress him up in dresses. And there's nothing, like, we didn't know what gay meant. We didn't know what transgender was. It was just innocent fun. It was innocent fun. We thought it was funny. Okay? Also at a young age, I was very, like, interested in penises. I was, like, because it was so hidden and shamed, I was very curious about them. Something that, like, what are you looking at? There you go. something I felt embarrassed about. And let's rewind actually back to first grade. Me and my friend, I don't think her name was Heather. I can't remember her exact name, but me and my friend, maybe it was Sabria. I can't remember. I'll have to look in my yearbook and see what her name was because I don't remember. But anyways, we drew naked people on a piece of paper and we put it in this kid's mailbox. We thought it was funny. We drew really little penises out like a naked girl, naked boy, and put it in his mailbox thinking we were being funny. And we got sent to the office. We got in trouble. We got sent to the office. I was getting yelled at for something I didn't even realize was bad. I don't know why I was getting yelled at for something like that. I didn't know better. I was a kid. Around that same time of being in first grade and drawing with naked people, me and my little cousin were playing house, and I convinced her, talked her into, like, French kissing is what the kids would say back then, you know, like, whatever. Like a passionate kiss, because I wanted to feel that from the movies. And so I feel like as I got older, there's a lot of shame behind that, and part of the reason why is because when we lived in the Apple Valley house, I was always left out. I was always the angry child. I was just, you know, whatever. And so my sisters and my cousins were leaving me out, and I was crying to my mom about it, and I was like, they're leaving me out, like, they're being mean to me, you know, whatever. And my cousin comes out, and she goes, Stephanie French kissed Lily. No questions asked, you guys. I was slapped across the face. No questions asked. Slapped across the face at 7 years old. 7 or 8, I think. I didn't know better. I was a kid. And I carried a lot of shame for a long time because of that. And after getting older, I actually talked to a friend who was playing with a girl in the cul-de-sac, and they were playing vampires. And she gave her little friend a hickey on accident. Like, it wasn't like she was like, it wasn't a sexual act. It was just literally like kids being kids. Like, you know, when I as a kid, I used to suck on my arm, right? Like, they have cupping now. They have the cupping now where they actually do that. They leave those hickeys in your back. But as a kid, whenever we gave ourselves little hickeys in our arms, we were yelled at by our parents. Don't do that. You can't be doing that. Like, why? It's my body, my choice. Why can't I do that? So anyways, I remember when I got slapped across the face, I immediately felt betrayal. I felt embarrassed because there's an audience there. Like, my ego, you know, like, it was not good. And again, until recently, I carried a lot of shame. Like, Andrew was the first man I ever kissed first sober. Both of those, right? Like, and even when I was drinking, like, I was usually kissed first or whatever, like other people. So, like, that, I was so scared to kiss anybody first. I was always scared to make a first move, and I think it's because I carried a lot of shame from the situation. Hey, Brian, you want your mama's? Okay, you might try to touch buttons here. Hi, Brian, you say hi? Say hi! He wants to touch the computer. You're gonna press buttons, I know it. You're gonna press buttons, I know it. You're gonna press buttons. You're gonna press buttons. I don't think so. We're gonna check for my boobs. Maybe he'll chill out and tell the story. So the trauma of all that. And then that Cecil boy that we were friends with, I remember we were running around our pool, the circle, and I remember because I wanted to see his pee-pee because I was curious. I pulled his pants down. So I could see it. And then, because I wanted to let my mom know I saw it, I don't know why I wanted to confide in her, I told her that he showed me his pee-pee, which he didn't show me his pee-pee. I pulled his pants down, but I didn't want to know I did that because I would get in trouble. So anyways, yeah, I lied. I lied to my mom because I didn't want her to get mad at me. So she overreacted. She went to Cecil's parents, and of course Cecil got in trouble. Cecil, if you're out there, I'm so sorry, buddy. I should not have lied to my mom. I know you probably got in trouble by your parents, but I hope you told the truth to your parents, and I hope they believed you that I pulled your pants down. So kids lie. Okay, they'll lie because they're scared, not because they're bad or because they lie out of fear. And adults also will lie out of fear. I've seen it. Okay? Here you go, Brian. So then, after this house in Apple, California, my mom ended up leaving this man. He was not very nice. We were out in the garage. He would, like, give us beer and stuff. Like, thought it was funny, like, feed us beer in the garage. Which we thought beer was gross. It's not like we were sitting out there drinking cans of beer, but, like, he would, like, give us sips of his beer, and, like, he'd, like, thought it was hilarious seeing our reactions to the beer, to the nasty taste of beer. We had a great life though. Honestly, like that house is my favorite in Upland, California. We also got to go to Big Bear and go to a cabin there. And like we really did live a great childhood. So I don't even hate my mom. I know that what she was doing, it's out of what she knew and what she felt was right based on her own ego. So I'm not even mad at her for that stuff. Oh yeah, and I think what happened in that house is that I found out that other people actually took their mom's toothbrush and like scrubbed toilets with it. I never did that. I like can't even imagine. Like that would be so awful. I didn't even think about that as a kid. And maybe it's a good thing I didn't know that that was a thing because maybe I would have done that. So good thing I didn't because what I did do is I was so mad at my mom one day that I wiped poop on the wall in that downstairs room. I wiped poop on the wall. My poop on the wall. And I forgot I even did it. And my mom was downstairs helping us clean up the basement. And I shared this story before. Um, but she was like, "Girls, get over here right now." And we all lined up. And she's like, "Which one of you put shit on my wall?" And we're sitting there, and I was like, "I am not speaking up. I should not have done that. I'm scared right now. I am not going to speak up." And thankfully, my older sister was like, "Maybe I accidentally did when I was wiping. I might have, when I turned around, I might have accidentally gotten the wall. I don't know." You know, she stuck up. She took the... she was my savior that day, okay? Because I was like, I cannot admit to this. I'm going to get in so much trouble. Um, what? Kids... So kids are very, very aware, and I've realized that with Avalania, like how aware she is. And they might not know the full repercussions or know exactly what they're doing, but they know it's not right. You know, they know it's wrong and stuff. And that's why we have to be careful. Okay, Moira. Yeah. You get your boobies. Hi. Hi. So after the Apple Valley house, we moved to Minnesota, which was really cool because my dad. Oh, I remember also too as a kid we got to travel to Minnesota. I remember we'd road trip to my dad across country with my with my grandpa and my uncle. Yeah. We might have to do a part 2 later because I don't know if he's gonna let me finish my story here. Because this connects to what I'm getting to. It connects to like all of Andrew's stuff. So that's why I need to share my whole life story, so that way people can maybe understand that like I have a good memory. I'm very aware of energy of people's behaviors, of how we're destroying humanity and how trauma affects people, because I lived through it, and how Christian Nazis think they own people. Because even as a kid, I didn't have rights to my body. I didn't get to choose my own outfits. I didn't get to choose my own hairstyle. I was forced to brush my hair, right? And I'm having my hair ripped out as I'm crying. Oh, count 100, you know? And then being forced to wear these really slick back, tight ponytails, where I literally was like Botox for a kid, where I'm like forced to smile because it was so tight. And because in the 90s, you couldn't have any bumps in your hair. If you had any bumps in your hair, you were sloppy. Now we just throw our hair up and there's bumpy and messy and it's cute and whatever. But at the time, it was not. So I actually remember when I moved to Apple Valley, Minnesota from Apple Valley, California. I remember a teacher, she had her hair like that, wears bumps. And I remember as a kid thinking, oh my God, I can't believe she has her hair. So here I am as a kid judging an adult for her hair because of the family I grew up in, because of the judgmental family I grew up in. I mirrored that same behavior. So anyways, when we moved from Apple Valley, California to Minnesota, we were very well known. I went to Parkview Elementary here, and I don't know if the address was Rosemont now or Lakeville, whatever. It's changed. But anyways, I went to school there. I met my first one I ever met, Megan. If you all know it's Rosemont, maybe I shouldn't say her last name for privacy reasons, but she was my best friend. We immediately became best friends. And I remember we were sitting there talking, and we didn't even realize the teacher was like trying to teach or start the day. It was the first day of school. We were just so excited to meet each other and we kept talking. Where we didn't even realize the teacher's like, kids, class, whatever, like trying to get the class's attention. We were just Megan. And this kid in front of us, Andrew Johnson, he turns around and he's like, "Shut up!" And I was like taken aback, like, whoa, how rude. That was my first day of school in Minnesota. I was getting told to shut up. And we both like got quiet and realized the teacher was trying to get our attention. We're like, oh, oops. And so, yeah, that happened. And then also that same year is when 9/11 happened. I remember like people getting picked up early from school, their parents coming to get them because we were like, oh my God, are we under a terrorist attack? You know, we didn't know what was going on. No one knew what was going on. It was scary times. But I was in 4th grade when that happened. We also had like the DARE program in 5th grade where the police came in and talked to us about drugs and alcohol. And you should never smoke weed, or you should never drink alcohol, whatever, but a lot of our parents drank, a lot of our parents smoked. So I think that program that they had at those schools, or those concentration camp schools that literally stole your basic human rights away, I think those DARE programs were so kids would tell on their parents. Because I'm coming out with stories now where kids were literally taken away from their parents. They were not bad parents, right? They were not bad parents because they drank or because they smoked, but you had, because these DARE officers came in and told us how bad it was, kids were tattling on their parents. Oh, my mom does that, my dad does that, or that, whatever. And so you had a system that was literally coming in with their authoritarian mindsets, taking kids away from their families. And this has been happening for decades, you guys, for many different reasons. CPS, DCF, government organizations, even back to my great-grandma, right? 15, underage, had a baby, became a ward of the state of Minnesota, and then they sold her baby off through adoption. So when you go back into deeper history, which I've done, okay, and you look at the indigenous that were here, the Native Americans that were here, and these churches, the church came in, right? Christopher Columbus, Catholic, Italian, whatever, from Spain or whatever, right? Came in, called them savages and just like awful, right? Stole kids from their families and put them in boarding schools, and a lot of these kids died because it was unnatural. What they were doing was unnatural. You completely devastated these children. So the trauma that we are all experiencing is not just our own, it's also our ancestors. And some of our ancestors did some really evil things. We have to admit to that, and we have to get rid of ego and say, oh no, they did what they had to. Oh, land's always been conquered. No. Okay? I don't believe in land being conquered and wars and stuff. I believe in peace and equality. And I believe in coming together. And maybe the Native Americans weren't always nice. When you read books that Native Americans have written, like The Wounded Knee and all of that, these chiefs were trying to keep peace with the white man. They were actually trying to keep peace with the white man. And sure, some of their below didn't agree with the chief's decision to keep the peace, because what happened? The white man kept coming and taking more and more and more and more and more, and was not providing what the deals. They were not keeping their end of the deal with what was happening. This is, again, all real research that we should have learned in school, but of course we didn't. So now I'm learning it myself and teaching myself and homeschooling myself, because the public school system is an indoctrination system. It is a way to imprison your children, to teach them what to think, not how to think. It silences them. It steals their basic human rights away. You can't eat. You can't go to the bathroom without permission. And even then, sometimes you're told no, because these teachers just make their own assumptions about you that, oh, they're going to go run the halls. They're going to go do this. Well, how do you know this kid isn't really to go to the bathroom? You're making your assumptions about this person. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe this person is going to go run the hallways. But maybe they have a problem with sitting there all day long, okay? Sometimes you got to work your legs off. You get energy. You get anxious. You know what I mean? Like, we're not meant to be sitting in desks all day long. That's not natural to the body at all. Especially with a lot of kids these days, like, they sit here and title us as ADHD or autism, whatever else. A lot of us are very neurodivergent. Our mind works in many different ways. We're very energetic, like natural energy in our bodies. I know I have a natural energy where I'll talk fast or I'll talk loud or whatever, and so later on when I got put on the Adderall, it actually made me, like, my heart raced, and it was just, like, not good. Anyways, so yeah, like California, Parkview, had lots of memories there, lots of stuff happened. I got caught smoking cigarettes in 5th grade. It was very scary. I was very scared of my mom when she found out. She screamed at me. I laid in the back seat, and she put my bike in the trunk, and my friend's mom told her that we got caught smoking cigarettes because we were stupid. We kept stealing more and more packs out of the freezer, like she had the big carton, and then we'd steal, like, the smaller packs. And we took too many, where her mom knew. We should have just shared a pack, but we each took our own pack, and we got selfish and greedy. So anyways, I was very aware. Oh yeah, also too, when I was 5 years old, my parents smoked in the house. There's ashtrays in the house. Me and my older sister, we lit it up, and I took a little puff when I was 5. My sister, and then we hurried up and put it out because I was scared we were getting in trouble. And then in 3rd grade, my parents were gone, again, in the Apple Valley house. Me and my sisters, we all, like, the ashtray was sitting there, so we all took a little puff of the butt. And I remember my sister was like, "Wow, Stephanie, you're good at that." Here. So anyways, that happened. I was naughty. I was still naughty. But I was aware. I was very aware as a child. More aware than people realize I was. And I'm still very aware. I observe everything. I see people's energies. I see how they treat people. Oh yeah, in that same house too, I remember this girl, Apple Valley, California. This girl at my elementary school wore her tankini to school as a top. What? She was a trendsetter. And I wanted to wear my bikini top, or it was a tankini. It wasn't a bikini top. It was a tank top, but it was a swimsuit top. So I wanted to wear mine. man, you're gonna touch everything. Here, you take this. Ooh. Okay. We're just gonna back up here. So I want to wear my tankini because she like inspired me, right? This girl was wearing this cute thing. I want to do it. And so I put it on. My mom's like, no, you can't wear that. You need to take that off. And I'm like, why? So I went and put a shirt on over it. My mom had me sit down and do my hair, and we were in the living room. And I still had my swimsuit top on because I was just gonna wear it anyways and just take off my shirt when I went to school, like be a sneaky little sneakerson. Oh, I got in trouble for that. You know what that is, Stephanie? That's lying. If you're being sneaky, that's lying. And I got in trouble over something so stupid. But anyways, I did. What? You can't touch that. You're gonna make things messed up. You're gonna make things so messed up. You're gonna make things messed up. You're gonna mess it up. Okay, so let's fast forward to high school now because there's more to share in between all that stuff. I have lots of memories. Okay, I'm just letting you know I have lots of memories from my childhood, and I'm so thankful for my little sister because she is my witness. Because there's some things I'll like bring up to my mom, and she's like, I don't recall that. That didn't happen. You aren't remembering that, right? But then I have a witness, my sister, who was like, yeah, that didn't happen, stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. So you have another human telling you what your memories are or what to believe or whatever. It's very damaging to you. It makes you question yourself. It really makes you question yourself as a human being. So anyways, oh yeah, my mom, she actually started talking to my stepdad, and he was really awesome. He played with us. He was like, even me, I was a fat kid. What? As a fat kid, he was like lifting me up, like picking me up, which I know was probably really hard for me because I was a chubby kid. So it was cool seeing him like play with us and pick us up and do all that stuff. At my grandparents' house back in Mission Viejo, when we were visiting from Apple Valley. So anyways, moved to Minnesota, Parkview Elementary, Scott Highlands Middle School, lots happened there, okay, and then I went to Rosemount High School, here in Rosemount, right, and I was warned about a certain individual. Stephanie, make sure you stay out of trouble because there's an abusive teacher that's there and you do not want to deal with him. He's been known to abuse students, he yells, he's scary, and his name is Mr. Conboy. I was warned about this teacher before I went to high school. So I stayed out of trouble. I think I skipped class one time or a few times and I had detention for it, but I never ever had to deal with him. I dealt with Mr. Storley. Mr. Storley was my CP biology teacher, and me and Jessica used to flirt with him because he used to skip his class and we didn't know what was going on, so we have to go tell, oh, what did we miss, you know, whatever, like flirt our way through whatever with the teacher, right? I don't know how these teachers deal with it because I'm sure a lot of, like, we thought he was cute, we thought Mr. Storley was hot, and maybe now as an adult, our options were very limited in high school. So he saw that we were best friends, and so when we actually had a falling out later in high school, he even said, you guys are best friends, what happened, like, just get along. I really appreciate Mr. Storley. He had a very huge heart. Shout out to Mr. Storley. Anyways, in that time at Rosemount High School, we had the thing called the mock car crash. It was like for prom night, you know, whatever, and so the freshmen and sophomores didn't see, like, they did it every 2 years. So the year that I was there, like, it was, if they did it every 2 years, or every other year, so they did, I would have seen it, I think I saw it, so I saw it in 9th grade year, and then you skip a year, so I think I may have seen the mock car crash my junior year, but anyways, the 9th grade year, we didn't get to see that, the freshmen and sophomores didn't get to see the actual mock car crash, the acting out stuff, which was traumatizing. That whole scene was very traumatizing as high schoolers to see that. And I get they want to scare us and make sure we don't drink and drive, but that was very traumatizing in high school to have to sit there and witness that. Like, it was very real act. Anyways, this lady came in, what's her last name? Renee Rosecrite. She's my friend on Facebook. I probably shouldn't. I'm sorry, Renee. I'm not trying to out you, but anyway, she came in telling us about her life story and how her son was taken away because the daycare was shaken baby syndrome happened. I don't know, something with his brain. So the hospital accused them of it. So they had their son taken away, and then I think they got their son back eventually. They found out it was the daycare that did it. But still, the fact that CPS or whatever organization came in and removed this kid without knowing the full truth, right? Parents are having their children stolen away who did not do anything wrong. That's our system. It's systemic. It's a systemic problem that we have going on. Anyway, she came in and then she talked about her daughter who was on the motorcycle with her husband. It was a beautiful day out. I believe it was November 1998, I want to say. And her daughter was killed in a motorcycle accident. Well, I was like paying attention but wasn't paying attention until I saw the tombstone. She showed a picture of her daughter's tombstone, you guys. Her daughter is named Emily Lynn. Going back to that imaginary friend I had, right? Her name was Emily Lynn. Which when I saw that little girl peeking around the corner in my house, my mom's like, "Oh, it was your imaginary friend." I'm like, "I didn't actually see anybody. I made the name up. I made the name up. Okay, like I was freaked out when I saw this little girl." So, anyways, I looked at the tombstone, and it said Emily Lynn. She was born the same exact day as me, February 25th, 1992, and she died around the same time I saw that little girl waving at me in my house. And that got my attention. That was the universe, right? Getting my attention. Because I will never forget that. My mom even still tells that story. Like, that is too much of a coincidence, okay? There's another time that during this time in middle school, I think, we went to Florida with my mom and my stepdad took us to Florida. Great trip. We got to swim with dolphins. It was I lived the best childhood. So I'm not, when I out my mom, it's not to like out her and be like, she's a horrible person. No, she's not an awful person. My mom is not an awful person. She was doing what she thought was right. Just like with Ava Lonnie, there's things that I've also messed up on that I thought was right because of my own ego. So we have a lot of parents parenting based off their own ego, their own fears, projecting their own fears on other people. Like, you don't want to let your kids do certain things because you're scared of the judgment from other people or whatever it is. So anyways, I see this tombstone and that got my attention. Oh yeah, so back to, the Florida trip. That's what I was at, the Florida trip. What? My family from Nebraska, we didn't know they were going to be in Florida. We were at Epcot. We were sitting there waiting for my mom and my stepdad to come find us. We were on this wall. And all of a sudden this lady grabs my little sister and she goes, "Erica!" And we like look over and realize, oh my god, it's our extended family. Our second cousins, our great aunt, all of that. They were in Florida the same time as us. Which was another thing from the universe that got my attention. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds of them being there the same exact time as us? Like, and we didn't travel to Florida that often. Like, there wasn't a lot of money in our house growing up, so it's like, the fact that we were there was already special, you know? And again, we had the best trip. We got to go to Key Largo, swim with dolphins. Like, we had, again, the best time. We still have home videos from that trip. Great life. We lived a great life, you guys. So that, again, that got my attention with that. There's other things in my life, as small worlds, you know, like, I'm just realizing that everything's connected. I've always had a very strong intuition. Like, when I was younger, I always knew, like, if I had a boyfriend ever and they were cheating on me, I knew it. I just had a feeling, and my feeling was always right. So definitely a psychic in that way, you know, which that's scary to come on as a psychic because people think, oh my god, she's crazy, she's in a mental hospital. But yet the churches, right, they sit here and talk about how you worship a man named Jesus and do blood rituals, but if anybody else has visions, only pastors or people of the church can have visions and be connected to God, because the Bible talks about visions and prophecies and stuff. But if you share these prophecies or visions with your pastors, oh no, that wasn't of God. Make sure it's not from the devil. That's from the devil. Like, they tell you what's another man telling you, okay? There is no middleman between you and God at all. No middleman. Okay, Boyan? There is no middleman between you and God. You are God. We are all gods. The Bible says twice you are gods. And we all have our own intuition. We are all meant to, like, the mystery of the gospel, if you look that up in the Bible, it's the mystery of your life. It's not, like, I don't know, like, that's what I've learned, is that we're actually not supposed to plan our lives out. We're not so, oh, man, you're gonna touch things and mess it up. You want to just touch this computer, it's so bad. Here, open this bin right here. We're not supposed to plan our lives out. We're not supposed to be working the same 9-to-5 job forever. That's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Soul from Disney, but like the make a trade, those big black things in that movie, like that's kind of what that movie is. Like, that's what that is. Like, you are like built with all this darkness, and it controls your life, and it controls the way you parent your kids. And it's really terrifying what kids are experiencing. Like, I'll be out in public and I'll hear the way that some of these parents speak to their kids. They have no patience. No patience at all. I grew up in a home that didn't have a lot of patience with kids, okay? I had a lot of trauma happen to me. Things that I'm scared to talk about on the internet because I don't want to out people, especially people who I have respect for, because they've really helped me a lot and my daughter out a lot. And so it is hard to out people who and I've forgiven for these things that have happened to me, but I'm very aware, okay? I was at 15, I was dragged by the back of my neck in my backpack, and some of my hair caught in there backwards. I remember I was mad at my parents, and I said, I hate you. was 15, and I ran out the front door as fast as I could, started running to my friend's house, you know, because I was so mad. Because they said, oh yeah, you can leave now, and I was so angry that they even made me come home. It was about control. It was about control. They made me come home to my friend's house for I don't know why, to check on me, I don't know. And so I wanted to go back there, and they said I couldn't go back, and of course I sat in my room angry, mad, and they finally said, okay, you can go back. And when I ran out the house, I said, I hate you. Well, one of my parents chased after me and grabbed me by the back of my neck, back of my backpack, and dragged me across the front yard into my house. And I remember blacking out kind of in that moment, like just like, what is going on type of thing, like all for words. I was being dragged. It was, and honestly, at the time, I thought it was funny. I thought, oh, I deserve that. I shouldn't have said I hate you. That was my fault for speaking out against the adults, you know. But no, you should not be physically abusing anybody over words, especially your children. Like the fact that we live in a society that says spanking is okay and this corporal punishment is okay, like that's very authoritarian, very Nazi-like. And it's not just Christians who do this, but Christians are the worst. Like I have had Christian kids tell me that what their parents did to them. They would tithe money over buying them tampons. They would beat them, use paddles with scripture on it, and they had to recite the scripture as they were literally getting beat with a paddle or a belt, or being smacked upside the head by their parents. Like there's a lot of children out there who are being abused. I know people don't think it's abusive, but it is. If you are spanking your children, hitting your children, or screaming in your child's face because you don't have the patience to deal with it, that's not love. Love is patient, love is kind, is not envious or boastful, okay? So when you have parents who are treating their children that way, they don't have patience for them, they're screaming and they're talking to them in an icky tone because they can't deal with them or whatever, again, that's not love. And I'm seeing a lot of households like that where a lot of parents are constantly screaming and yelling at their kids, getting angry at them all the time, which I know I've gotten angry with Avani, okay? In the beginning, I was a Christian, I was going to River Valley Church, okay? I had no patience for my child, I was a single mom. I did not have a lot of patience for Ivani, but I will say I did play with her a lot. I played with her a lot, I did a lot with her, I took her everywhere with me. I didn't live in fear, we did a lot together, okay? But I also was very, like, anxious around her, and part of the anxiety I'm realizing after having Boyan was because we were separated. I had to put her in daycare, okay? So she's now being raised by somebody else throughout the day, and then I have to come home and take care of her. I don't know how to take care of her. I don't even know her cries. She's crying. Why is she crying? I'm going to show her she's crying. I'm trying to figure it out. It's frustrating. Well, now with Boyan, because I'm here all day long with him, I know his cries. I know why he's upset. I know how to fix it. I know how to make him happy again, because I'm actually connected to my child where I'm breastfeeding. He's rarely been sick. Like we've gone a lot of places. We've taken Boyan a lot of places, okay? Whenever people invite me somewhere, I go. I don't say, oh, I have a baby. I don't know. Like, I'm like, all right, let's go. We've gone to Lifetime multiple times. We've gone to water parks. We've gone to a lot of places with Boyan, just living every day with adventure because that's what we're meant to do. I will take my babies everywhere and anywhere with me, obviously as long as it's kid appropriate, okay? Like, I'm not a fucking crazy person. So anyways, I've taken her to, like, a lot of places with me, like, usually, like, at parties that were kid-friendly, you know, like, there's other kids there playing, hot tub fun, of course, the adults are drinking a little bit, you know, but with Avalani and me drinking, I was, what? Hearing like that? I was always very responsible when it came to drinking around Avalani, and there was only one time, right? If I knew I was if I knew I was probably gonna get drunk, I would have her go to my mom's house, which I appreciate my mom so much. My mom helped me out a lot, because being a single mom, and then wanting to still live your life and whatever else, it was hard. It was very, very hard, and by doing that, like you get discriminated against. You know, like I'm going out because I'm single, but I also have to take care of my kid, which I did. What? So anyways, there's only one time, right, that it was during COVID, and me and my ex were in the pool all day long, and we were drinking White Claws in the pool. And once I got out of the pool, my daughter got into the bath. Okay, my ex-boyfriend, his house is disgusting. He had a hoarder living with him. It was a girl's house, but I made sure it was like, I cleaned it every weekend. Okay, I'd go in there, I'd deep clean the shit out of his house. I made sure it was, like, clean enough for my daughter to be there, right? Like, I wasn't, like, whatever. And so we got out of the pool, and I realized, oh, I'm a little drunker than I thought I was. You know, when you're drinking in a pool long, you don't realize until you get out. So we were sitting in the bath, because it was, like, cold. We got out, it was cold, so we went and took a bath. And this is a really low moment for me. I'm embarrassed to even admit this, because it's, like, so gross, and I was so upset, and I still, like, get just thinking about it. And I even told my ex-boyfriend's mom about this, because I was so, like, disturbed. So I'm sitting in the bath, and we're sitting there, and I'm not kidding you guys, I see goopy stuff, which I would assume is jizz, floating around in the bathtub with me and my daughter. And I'm like, this is a new low for me. Like, this is a new low. And I was, of course, drunk at that point. And I was like, I need to call my dad to come get Iolani because I need to sit and process what's happening right now. And I was always very safe. I was always very safe when it came to Iolani. I made a few mistakes that thankfully there's people there. Before this happened, I made a few mistakes, which my dad was a witness to one of them, and I felt so much shame from that. It never happened again. I did have people over, and the girl who babysat my daughter had my daughter, so I trusted her, but some drama happened with some guy. I did drink too much. I did fall asleep in my bed while I had people over. But again, my daughter was taken care of, so it's not like I was, it's not like I got drunk and passed out and no one's taking care of her. People are taking care of her. She was taken care of. But I still felt a lot of shame from that. I felt very embarrassed. I never had people over again like that ever again because I learned from it. I learned from my mistakes. However, had other people found out about that, they could have like, I'm calling CPS on her, blah, blah, blah. Why? She was protected. She was fine. She had people taking care of her. And again, that's something I'm really embarrassed to admit, but I'm going to admit all of my wrongs too as a parent. And those mistakes made me act differently after that. Like, I learned from my mistakes. So you have parents who make mistakes and they're getting their kids taken and stolen from them by an organization over a mistake, over an accident that they learned from. That's why I don't agree with the system. So anyways, that happened. And then, so the situation with the bath, again, a new low. I called my dad, can you please come get Iolani? I might have had too much to drink. And I was scared to admit that. I was afraid to be honest about that because I felt like I was like, is there something wrong with me? Or am I going to, it was just all the fears as a single mom, Anyways, he came and got her. It was fine. Me and that boyfriend, like, I was trying to make his house a home for us and our family because I thought we were getting married. And I thought he was wanted to be with me and marry me, but then he's like hitting up his ex-girlfriend behind my back, drunk. I found out after 2 years, I paid for a trip to Florida to go see his family, and he brought video games with, and that was our biggest fight, was the video games. Like, and the video games aren't even a big issue. I didn't even care that he played video games. It was that his time management because of these video games is what pissed me off. Like, it's all he wanted to do. If we had plans to go be like my dad's wedding, I went to go pick him up, and he's playing fucking video games in his underwear. And I'm like, we have to go. What are you doing? Like, I was pissed, and I still was, like, calm and gentle, and I'm like, hey, like, so of course, then he's frustrated with me, and he's just being an asshole to me, and I went to go help him find clothes that he needed to wear, because we were going to my friend's, she had a 90s 30th birthday that I wanted to go to, both my friends, after my dad's wedding, so we were going to be leaving my dad's reception part and going to this birthday, and so we had to have 2 different outfits. He had to wear something different to my dad's wedding, and then something different for this thing, and he is not prepared. He went and put on a black t-shirt and jeans, and I go, what do you wear? Why are you wearing this to my dad's wedding? I said khakis and like a polo. He's like, you told me a black shirt and jeans, fighting with me, and I'm like, no, that's for the 90s party afterwards. I was like, we need to wear like something nicer for my dad's wedding. And so I went in his room to help him find something, and he's like, get the fuck out of my room, you bitch. And I was like, oh my god. So I went out to the living room and I just waited. For him to come out. And walk out to my car just to ease the tension. I looked at him before he opened the car door, and I was like, hey, I love you. Gave him a kiss, diffused the situation, transmuted the negative energy, and I learned how to do that with him because him and I would bicker a lot. Like, we just did not agree. I was going down all these rabbit holes. I forgot to share some stuff before all this, but I was going on these rabbit holes. So back in 2017, I was doing a lot of like political stuff. I actually had my own hair business. Like, okay, so let me just rewind before all this stuff. So I was living with my mom, and I was paying her car insurance as my rent, and I only had one room there. I only had one room. I couldn't decorate anywhere else in the house. I had one room to myself, and I spent a lot of time in that room because we would watch some shows together, but I just wasn't a big TV. I just wanted to be on my phone and like talk to the world because I was very social. I would go out with my friends a lot. I would get a lot of like VIP in the clubs, bottle service, all of that. I lived a great life. I lived the fucking most amazing life ever. But because I was living the most amazing life, and maybe my mom didn't get to, I was like constant comments. Oh, you have FOMO. You can't say no to going out. Blah 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 blah. I was like, no, I just don't want to be here. And then I had boyfriends that she didn't like, that she was always negative about. And then I was like listening to, if you ever look up like Fearless Motivation on YouTube or like on Spotify or whatever, it's like those motivational tracks, like, you gotta get out there, you gotta stick up for what's right, just like all that motivational, like, I love that stuff. And so I was listening to that, and she made a comment, oh, this stuff annoys me. Like, it's just like constant shaming me and commenting about things that I was just like, oh my god, I can't do anything right here on here. I was spending all my extra money went towards business conferences in Vegas. I joined a company called Adase where I learned about health and wellness through this company. I healed my gut. My gut was really bad. I had really bad bowel movement issues and was bleeding from my butt and had a bunch of health issues because of the things they give you, those things in the doctors that they say are healthy and help protect you. They don't. They actually harm you. And I saw that with my own health. Okay, I was literally had jelly wrapped around my poop, you guys, like blood, red jelly, which is blood, obviously, wrapped around my poop, and I had I was bleeding from my butt all the time, like it was not good. I had a lot of health issues. Had a colonoscopy at 20, I had my tonsils taken out at 20, like it was just all these, like one thing after another. Oh, I mean, I was 21 actually when I had the colonoscopy. I don't remember. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I had a bunch of health issues from these things. So, yeah, when it comes to health and wellness, I have definitely researched a lot and learned a lot. Anyways, I was getting my health right. I was running all the time. I was working out all the time. Like literally on my lunch break, I'd work out my lunch break. I worked as a legal assistant slash closing assistant in Burnsville. And then I also worked part time as a hairstylist in a salon. So I was working two jobs, and on top of that, on top of working the salon job, I also had side clients. I was posting my work on my Facebook page, networking myself, and I would get people I went to high school with, people from my past, whatever, being like, hey, or my sister's friends, whatever, like coming to my house to come get their hair done. So I got paid cash. That was like my business. I started my own business. And I started doing wedding hair. I was doing updos and stuff. I was also sharing my work on my social media page, so I got more work from a lot of different people. Again, starting my own businesses. I was becoming very successful, and so I had planned to quit my full-time job as the closing assistant, just because there's some stuff there that happened. And my owner wanted to take me to lunch, which is super awkward. But he told me, that he will always be there to write a letter of recommendation whenever I need it. Like he did not. He was like sad I was leaving. He took me to lunch, and people he didn't do that. He didn't do that with other people. And it was a very awkward lunch because I let him know the truth. I let him know that one of the employees there, that I had to deal with hell working at this place because this employee was disturbing. He was very disturbing. I felt like I couldn't speak up for myself because if I did speak up, I'd be the one to get fired. So I couldn't even talk about the abuse that was taking place at my job out of fear of being fired. And that's how a lot of these office jobs work. Is there's abuse taking place in these office jobs that you can't tattle, because if you do, you're the one who's going to get fired. Not always. But this guy was bad, okay? Like, he was just a creep. He was fucking gross. Anyways, anybody who works there can vouch for that. They're a witness to my what I've seen. So anyways, I quit there to start my own salon job. I was going to do the suite rental. I went to the bank. I consolidated all my loans, so I only had one payment coming out. And then I was going to use the rest of that loan money to pay for the suite rental, and then pay for some products that I would need. I already had a lot of tools. I was already investing in myself with my money. All my extra money went towards business trips. It went towards product, whether for my health and wellness or for like doing hair, like tools and stuff. So I was like set. I was good to go. And I told my mom, I went and met with this lady, it was Phoenix Salon in Edina, and I thought Edina's a great place because there's a lot of like ritzier people up there, pay more money for hair. And it was this brand new place it was when the salon suites first came out, and it was called Phoenix Salon, and I think it's still there. Anyways, I went and met her. I was really excited. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I'm going to start my own business, make my own money. Like, I have all these clients. I can network myself on Facebook. Like, I was just so excited to do this. I knew I had the business plan in my head. And I found out that when you do these salon suites, you don't actually write down a whole business plan. Like, you might write down, like, to budget and stuff, things like that. That's different. But you can't do that until you get in there and know what you're spending, right? You can't just, like, start out saying, oh, these are my budgets, whatever. So, anyways, I had this plan, and I told my mom about this plan. And she's like, you can't do that. You don't have a business plan set up yet. I don't think it's a good idea. Like, just completely talked me out of it. And stupidly, I listened because I didn't know better. And so I started doing MAGA Nationwide. I started getting really involved in politics, right? Where I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go into the political world. So I organized, there was this huge MAGA March, 2017. I think it's still in my cover photos. If you go to my Facebook, look at my cover photos. We did this MAGA Nationwide event where it was nationwide, and I organized the Minnesota chapter. I became friends with the Bikers for Trump. I had a bunch of people behind me. Like, if you guys ever look up Tommy Lauren, I was the Tommy Lauren of we're experiencing performance issues. Try closing other applications for other tabs. Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me. It's not breaking out, whatever. Let me just close this stuff out. So anyways, yeah, I was doing all this Nine Nationwide stuff, and then I was at one of the rallies. It was actually the Smalley fraud that's going on right now. These are the things I was exposing. I also read Media Matters handbook, and they were going to start censoring people on social media platforms. That was like their goal, was to start censoring people. I went through their handbook, I read it, and I told my mom this, and she was like, Stephanie, this is going too far, this is too much, this is consuming your whole life, like blah blah blah. Because I was not watching movies all day long. I was actually doing something to like educate myself on what's going on, like try to make a difference in the world. So I was researching. I homeschooled myself. After school, I went and homeschooled myself on politics, on religion, on all a bunch of different topics, health, wellness, everything. I homeschooled myself. So it was very emotionally abusive, the situation I was in. And from doing MAGA Nationwide, I had this guy, I'm not going to tell you his Facebook name because for his privacy. His real name is Michael. I'm not going to tell you, well, obviously Michael Henson, because that's whatever, but there's a lot of Michael Hensons, so screw it. Anyways, he had a different Facebook name. His Facebook profile picture was like airplane or some kind of jet or whatever. It was like, I thought it was an old man. And he had reached out with a very like heartfelt message, like, just be careful what you're doing. Like, I agree with you. I see everything you're talking about. I'm in the military, you know, whatever. We like had conversation. And here's the deal, when I was joining MAGA Nationwide, I felt like I had to respond back to every single message, which consumed my entire life, you guys. Being on my phone, it was like it became my whole life, where it was like too much. And I felt like I had to be humble and like, oh, I'm so grateful these people, you know, like me. And like, I was, again, the Tommy Lauren. If you look at Tommy Lauren, I was the Tommy Lauren of Minnesota is what people called me, which is fine, but I'm not Tommy Lauren. I'm Stephanie. At the time, I was Stephanie Idol. Okay, I'm not Tommy Lauren. But I saw a beautiful girl who was speaking the truth, you know, and that was very fiery with passion. So like Candace Owens, all of them, like Charlie Kirk, at the same time that all of them started like getting big was the same time I was doing my videos on Facebook. I had over 1 million views on my videos. I was really doing big things in my life. I was really going places, and I was really speaking up for what I believed in, because I was very patriotic to my country, like extremely patriotic, very Christian. Thought Jesus is the only way, which now I realize it's not. But I started talking to Michael, Evelyn's father, through Facebook, and like it just started out as a few conversations back and forth, and then we went to this anti-Sharia march because we thought that the Muslims are trying to bring Sharia law to Minnesota, and I'm not for that. And I was like talking about how they're mutilating girls out there, you know, like they do the female circumcising, you know, for females, they cut off the clitoris, and so like I was like so against like this religion coming here and the things they're doing. But then it's funny because Christians do that to their little boys, so both religions are evil, in my opinion. I don't agree with both religions. They all say they're peaceful, but they're really not peaceful. There's a lot of abuse that happens through these religious cultures, because you have to live by their standards, and you have to worship their man. You worship your man, Muhammad or Jesus or whatever, Jehovah, whatever. I don't know what Jehovah is really. Honestly, like they come and talk to me, whatever. And so I started talking to Michael, and we talked on the phone for like literally 7 hours a day, multiple times, like almost every day we were talking on the phone. And our conversations, like it was just like, and even still this day when we talk on the phone, it's like, we still have like this, like the same kind of conversations where it's just like, we're both just like get so energized talking to each other. And I appreciate that because we get along very well. So anyways, he was like, finally said, I didn't even know he was in Hawaii when we first started talking. I had no idea where he was. Had no plans to even like, right? Like I thought I was gonna be married and have a baby by the time I was 25. Like that was my goal, right? And I was not there. I remember I made a post in August actually. It was Easter, and I was holding my cousin's baby, and I like made a post like, oh, I thought I was gonna be married and pregnant by the time I was 25. That didn't work. Like, you know, just like whatever, putting my little whatever writings out there. And so then I met Avani's dad, and within a month, he was like, you should come to, I'm going to fly you to Hawaii, I want you to come out to Hawaii. Well, it just so happened that my friend, Angelia, was moving to Yuma. So it was a great excuse for my mom. I'm going to pack a suitcase, I'm going to go help my friend move to Yuma, and I told my mom, I was like, I'm probably going to stay there for a while, knowing I was going to Hawaii. I was like, I'm probably going to stay there for a while because I just need something different right now, especially with all this stuff. Like I was getting doxxed by Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They were sending death threats to the owner of MAGA Nationwide, and it was directed at me because I was the face of MAGA Nationwide. So I was a little bit scared. I didn't want people to know where I was. I just wanted to go into hiding kind of thing. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to stay with my friend Angelia, you know. And I helped her move down there with her and her kids. But because I had MAGA Nationwide, I was constantly on my phone. Like constantly on my phone the whole time. It was like, that was more important than me helping with her girls. Which now after being a mom, I feel horrible. I actually apologized to her recently in the last couple of years because I was like, I am so sorry. That was my phone the whole time. Like, you needed help with your girls because you were unpacking, and I'm on my phone because Mag and H&R was more important. Like, that's not okay, and that's where I am like learning from my past mistakes. So I am very good at investigating stuff. I'm very good at networking myself, doing all that stuff. Anyways, on the way down I told my older sister where I was going, just to be safe. I said, here's the person's name. Here's at this point, you guys, I'd already met men on Tinder. I already met men on the internet. Okay, I was not afraid of meeting people on the internet. I have a very good intuition about people. I was not worried about it, but my family was, of course, because they didn't know this person. They've never talked to this person. They didn't get the same energy vibes I did, right? So they were scared for me, which I totally understand that they were scared for me. But I was 25 years old. Okay, I got a text on the way down to Yuma, Arizona, saying, "I will like you better come home right now. I know you're not going to be in. I know you're not going to Arizona. You're going to Hawaii, and you're not going. I will do everything in my power to make sure you don't get on that flight." She called my biological dad. So another small world situation. My dad flew down to Yuma. I didn't even know he was coming down there. He called me when he got down there. "Where are you?" And I'm like, Yuma. He's like, "Yeah, I'm here on the base. Where are you?" And I'm like, what the fuck, you guys? I was scared because my mom's already harassing me. My sister's already harassing me. Then Michael's getting mad at me because he's like, "What's going on? What is your family doing? They're causing drama." They called the military base, you guys. And my family stalked and harassed me, called the military base. And I just wanted to leave me alone. Like, I had plans to never speak to my family again after this. My dad flew down there, and he did try to stop me. He, again, small world, goes to the car rental place. And then when he gets to my friend's house, her dad and her sister had just shown up because her brother drove down with us. I drove the moving truck, this big ass moving truck. I drove it. Her brother was in the car with her and her girls. So anyways, my dad, we get there and he's like, says, "Hey," my dad's a social person too, but he says, "Hey," he's like, "Oh my god, hey," to Angelia's dad. And I was like, "Wait, how do you guys know each other?" Like, "We just were talking at the rental car place. What the heck? What a small world." It's another small, like, that is not a coincidence. That is like what's going on. Like, so crazy. So anyways, my dad and I talk, and I said, "Dad, here's the deal. I understand that you guys are worried I'm gonna get trafficked off. Like, I get there's all this trafficking, women get trafficked, whatever. I understand your fears, but here's the deal. We are at the border of Mexico, where they say a lot of trafficking is happening, right?" I said, "Either I can get on that Greyhound tomorrow or whatever day I was leaving." I said, "Or you can drive me to San Diego Airport. But either way, I'm going." That's what I said to him. I was making my decision as an adult for myself, and I had him drive. We had the best ride out there. Like, we went to the San Diego like pier and stuff. Like, we had my sister was living in California, so she met us there. My dad was really stressed. He was really scared, you guys, and so he did. He dropped me off at the airport, and my mom and my sister freaked out on my dad. Okay, these women, these scary Nazi women, screaming at my dad, "How come you let her go? Like, what is he gonna do? Drag me back to Minnesota, you guys?" Like, I don't understand what their mindsets were or why they thought this or whatever else, but I did not want to be them. I could not stand these people. I wanted out. I wanted out. These are like they acted like they were my handlers, which is why I didn't tell my mom that I was leaving, because I knew she would have tried to stop me. She would have, like, probably locked me up, honestly. Doing what Andrew's dad did, she probably would have done, and had she had the power, the same power that Tim Conboy has, the connections, she would have done the same thing that Andrew's dad did to him, to me. I was scared, okay? I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I went to Hawaii. Me and Michael had the best time. We were gonna get married. We had plans to get married when I got there, but then, like, some stuff, like, I don't know, just energy was not right. But then I was pregnant. He's like, "Put your legs up, put your legs up," So he got me pregnant. We had plans. I literally got my IUD taken out before I went there because I was on birth control. I got off it and I got pregnant immediately. I did not know it was gonna happen that fast. What it did, it happened immediately. Like, probably the first time we had sex, I got pregnant. And we finished out our time there. I lived there for 2 months, and then he told me he was getting deployed. So I was like, "Well, I don't want to have a baby in Ohio. If you're getting deployed, I want my family there for me. So I'm gonna go back to Minnesota." I worked up here, lived with my dad. I still live in the same house today. Worked, all that, lived, and then when I had Ivalani, I had her 2 months early, so her dad wasn't even there when she was born. And a lot happened. A lot of trauma happened with that whole birth. A lot of trauma, which I've had healed from. So anyways, all that happened. Me and Michael and Avon was born, who left me, was in NICU. He said he forgot my birthday, and I was upset that he forgot my birthday. He's like, well, I thought you don't care about your birthday. I'm like, well, I still want my husband to acknowledge it. And you know what he said to me? Well, I don't want to be with you anyways. I want a divorce. And I was so Christian that I was like, what? Like, I judge people who got divorced because my mom was been divorced twice. I judge people who got divorced. So I was really upset by that. I was really upset that he wanted to divorce me. I thought, oh my God, am I going to go to hell? Like, all these fears, right? But honestly, it wasn't a healthy relationship. We were not in a healthy relationship. I found out later he actually had a girlfriend. One of my exes, actually my first love from high school, had reached out to me while I was pregnant and married. He wanted me to come hang out, which I really did want to go. I wanted to hang out with him. I did want to hang out with my ex. But I was respectful of my relationship and the fact that I was pregnant. But I was like, I really want to, but I can't. I'm married and pregnant. It was probably still inappropriate that we were texting back and forth, but it was nothing inappropriate. Like, we weren't like sexting or anything. It was, we never did that anyways. It was just like very like just normal communication, not a big deal. Well, anyways, Avon's dad went to my phone when he was in town, and he was like, "Who's this person?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You call me this name in your sleep." Well, no, he went to my phone while I was sleeping. And the reason why he went to my phone was because he had a girlfriend, you guys, and I found out he bought her a $3,500 purse. His friend told me when I went out to go visit later on with Avon. Doesn't matter, anyways. Um, so I was not in a really good relationship, anyways. And it was a blessing. It's a very big blessing that he left me. But anyways, I was forced to do everything on my own, minus having my family there to help with things when I needed it. But I had been doing my own research on topics such as vaccines and other stuff that, and like essential oils and everything. I mean, everything. I was doing research on health and wellness, and I knew how I wanted to raise my daughter. Well, my family didn't agree at all because they didn't do the same research I did. They had no idea the things I was researching, the things I was looking up. I was living a whole other double life on the internet. Okay, right? Researching things by like just talking to people on the internet, learning things about their lives, their personal stories and stuff. I was learning a lot, very overwhelming, a lot. So I again was making my decisions based off the information that I was coming to. As a human, I should have that right. Well, not in Nazi America, because your family is the one that governs you. They think that they own you. They think that they can control you and manipulate you. And I saw this again with Andrew's family too. I saw what they did to him. They did the same thing my family did to me. They thought they owned him. They were actually telling he was like 35 at the time, a 35-year-old grown man that he's not allowed to hang out with me. Why is that? Oh, because I'm sharing the truth about you guys on the internet? And then they came for me and stalked and harassed me. Okay, I'm not going to do that now. We're going to get into that later. So anyways, I had a few boyfriends since then, and here's all. Because of the things that happened to me, I knew my worth, and if I saw like heat energy, which I did, I had boyfriends like stalk me, which was really scary. And they even like reached out to one of my boyfriends reached out to my new boyfriend's family and was like, "Stephanie's mine," whatever. I didn't know what he said, but it's fucking embarrassing. It was really embarrassing. I've had people think they actually own me, and it's very, very scary, very embarrassing. So he's like, "You're turning it around him," which I feel bad about now because I feel like I should have just been very stern and said, "I don't want to be with you. Leave me alone." But I didn't want to hurt his feelings. So, anyways, all that happened, and then that same relationship, that's the one that I was at during COVID, right, where he had video game addiction, paid for a trip down to Florida, where I thought we were getting married. I thought he was going to buy a ring, propose to me on 4th of July at his parents, and that was like, I thought what was going to happen, and we got down to Florida. I found out he didn't have a ring. He brought video games. I paid for the Airbnb for plane tickets, and he paid for rental car, so I paid for most of the trip. We went swimming at his parents' house, and we were going to take a nap, and me and Lonnie were going to take a nap, and my leg is asleep right now. Ooh, okay, we're going to breathe through it. I'm going to stay on my lap, my leg's asleep. Anyways, we were at his parents' house, and we took a nap, and he's like, "Well, how long are you going to nap for?" I was like, "I don't know, maybe like an hour or two." And I'm like, "You need to come back after that, because, like, you didn't come here to play video games. We came here to freaking hang out with your family and together as a family, you know?" So, anyways, I called him up, and I was like, "Hey, can you come back soon?" And he was like, "What do you mean? You said 2 hours." Like, "I said, like, an hour and a half to 2 hours. We're awake now. You're like, can you please come back to your parents' house?" Like, and he gets there, you guys, and me and Avon are in the pool swimming, right, just having fun in the pool, and all I see is him storming through the house, out the back door, screaming, "Fuck you, you fucking bitch!" Like, screaming, finger in my face, derogatory names at me. And I was like, I looked at him and I was like, "Not in front of my daughter, not in front of my daughter." Like, I was like trying to shut him up. Like, this is not the way you speak, especially in front of my child. No. So after this trip, okay, because on this trip, also later that day, him and his uncle got into it where he's like, oh, you just suck Trump's dick, and they're fighting about politics. You guys, like literally about politics, and they were like getting each other's faces, and like, I mean, it was scary. And then his mom was like, that bitch Stephanie, and I'm like, what did I do? It's because I talked about God at her birthday party. She told me not to talk about politics or the vaccine, right? The whole COVID vaccine at her birthday party. A Christian woman telling me what topics I can and cannot talk about. A Christian American patriotic woman, freedom of speech, right? Telling me what topics I can and cannot talk about. Well, people came up to me, two different people at that party came up to me. One started talking about politics with me, and so I shifted the relationship into God, into like my spiritual journey and whatever else, because it's not, I figured that was appropriate, a Christian thing, to talk about God. Nope, not okay. And then the second lady came up to me and started talking about the COVID vaccine, and like we both were, on the same page. Well, one of her friends there, one of her Nazi friends, was apparently watching me the whole time, listening to my conversations. Told her I was talking about those topics she told me not to talk about, and it's like, no, I shifted into these conversations because these people came up and started talking about those topics. But now one person asked me what happened or whatever, and she's like, I asked you not to talk about politics in the vaccine, and you did anyways, like, blah, like, just going off on me. And again, screaming that bitch Stephanie in front of my daughter, where I was like, I'm out of here. I took my child, we went back to the Airbnb, I asked his dad, I was like, can you drop him off? He dropped his sons off later at the Airbnb, and then we ended up having a great night. But anyways, the next morning, right, after all that drama happened, I was on my phone working, because my phone is my work, and Avon, you want to watch something or want to do something, and I was like, here, I'll go get Daddy's phone, because she called this boyfriend of mine Daddy. I thought we were getting married. And so I go grab his phone, and something, my spirit was like, go through it. And I never had that urge. I've never gone through his phone before. I never felt like I had to go through his phone, even though he has gotten busted calling his exes. But I never felt the need to ever go through his phone. Ever. Never. Something in me said, go through it. And there's a situation that happened before we went to Florida where he got caught, or I knew he was lying about something, but like, I couldn't prove it, because I'm a psychic, I just knew he was lying about something. And I couldn't prove it. So then when I go through his phone, the shoes came out. He went to this girl's birthday party, one of his coworkers, who kept saying there's nothing going on, but yet he was constantly texting her. She was buying these bracelets and stuff. And I don't mind opposite sex friendships. I had men that were my friends, like I had guy friends, that's never bothered me. I'm not jealous like that. I'm not a jealous person when it comes to that. So he was talking to this girl about her birthday party. Went to his birthday party that night. The night he said he was at working late, he was at this girl's birthday party. Didn't invite me or anything, which I said. I was like, I don't care if you're friends with her, but let me meet her. Like, if there's not anything going on, then let me be around and meet her. Well, he was worried because we were opposite politically. I go, I know how to be respectful. Like, what the hell, Anyways, so I went through his phone, and not only did I find that he lied about that, but then there's messages to other females saying, thanks for letting me stay over last night. And I'm like, oh my god, you guys, and I'm not proud of this, and this makes me a domestic abuser in a way, which I'm so happy that I never got in trouble for this, but I did. I went up to him and I checked his phone at his head, and I was like, you motherfucker! Like, I was so angry. So when Andrew told me that Kirsten chased him around with a hammer, I know the anger she was feeling, and I believed Andrew because I've been that angry before, where I'm like, oh hell no, like, it's just like this energy in your body that is so angry, and like you do things without even realizing. It's almost like you black out in a way, like you don't even realize what you're doing, but like it's bad what you're doing, but you're not really coming to self, you know what I mean? You're fucking, something's taken over. So I don't even judge her for that. I do think it's scary. I do think it's very ironic that she went after Andrew for everything after she was the one who was a domestic abuser. But anyways, he never got mad at me for that. He just like forgave me for that because obviously he was in the wrong. And then shortly after that, I was like, I have to get out of here. Like, he does not love me, obviously. Like, so I moved to North Dakota. And I didn't tell my mom or my sister because the whole Hawaii situation, I did not tell my mom and my sister that I was moving. I told my dad, my stepdad, and I told my little sister. And I told the daycare, I said, please don't say anything to my mom. As a parent, it's my right, So I was like, don't say anything to my mom. But this is going to be her last day. Thursday will be her last day, or whatever day it was, will be her last day at daycare. So I had my car packed up, and we were moving to North Dakota. I actually helped this guy run his trucking business, which that was a whole other drama situation that happened. I learned a lot being there. I learned how to run it, what not to do when it comes to running a business. There's a lot of really bad business practices there, let's just say that. And I would try to stick up for his employees and say, you can't talk to your employees that way. That's not okay. Like, that's not okay to talk to your employees that way. And he didn't give a shit. He wouldn't pay him on time. It was just a lot of bullshit. But anyways, while I'm driving out there, I get a text, a big long text from my older sister. You better bring Evelyn back here right now, like just going off of me. And in the text, these words still haunt me to this day. She says, I will do everything in my power to make sure you get that little girl taken away from you. What? You're gonna do what? I was scared. I was really scared. Very scared. And finally, the guy I was out there that I was going to work for, he's like, tell him that I'm going to contact my attorney so they don't leave you alone. And so I said that. I was like, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to come after you, and you're going to be in legal trouble, dude. Like, stop. Like, leave me alone. Well, then she contacts my ex, the one who I was trying to escape from, him and his family, because every time I broke up with him, his mom's like, oh, it's COVID, that's why he's drinking, oh, that's why this, like, constantly. And it's like, I would tell her things, not to tattle on him, but I would tell her things that this is why I don't want to be with him. Like, look at the way we talk to each other, look at the way we're fighting. It's just, this is not a healthy relationship for me or my daughter, you know? So anyways, I had to move to North Dakota. A lot happened there. Ended up coming back about 4 months later because it was another toxic environment, and it gave me enough time to like not go back to Jose, because I was gonna go back to him, and I almost went back to him. Actually, when I got to North Dakota, he kept trying to call me, and I was like, oh my god. So then this new guy was like gone a lot, always out on the road doing trucking, whatever. So just me and Evelyn at the house. We were just hanging out, going to the parks, just connecting, healing a lot, connecting. I started homeschooling her. I got ABC Mouse. I would help her with schoolwork. We'd color together. We'd go to the parks. We met new friends out there. My friend Melissa, she's on my Facebook, and she told me her story, and I helped her with her kids when her she had to go have her. She was pregnant with her fourth child and had left her abusive relationship, so she was raising 3 kids on her own. One who had disabilities, and then she was having her 4th baby. So I went there and watched her 3 kids for her while she went and had her 4th baby alone in the hospital. I'm pretty sure she was alone. And then she came back and whatever. But he was mad at me. The guy out there was mad at me. He's like, you should be helping me with my stuff. I was like, dude, I'm helping somebody out who needs help. Like, I just cannot stand when guys get mad at me for helping other people out, like relationships. It's like, excuse me, this is who I am as a person. If you don't like that, goodbye, there's the door. Okay? So anyways, I ended up moving back after, while I was there though, I did almost come back. Like, he would like almost convince me to come back, and I knew in my heart it wasn't right. I should not be coming back. So then his ex reaches out to me, and she says something really rude to me, and I said, listen, Jen, I am willing to talk to you if you're nice. If you're going to be an asshole, I don't want to talk to you. So her and I ended up talking on the phone for 2 hours. And we talked about a lot, you guys. We talked about so much. And she told me a lot of things that I had no idea about, where I was like, oh my God. I was like, thank God I talked to you. I am not coming back to Minnesota. I am not going back to that. I am done. I am fucking done. So I stayed there. Came back. When I did finally move back, I went down to Atlanta, took Evelyn to Ohio to see her dad, and I went down to Atlanta to hang out with one of my friends. And then she called me bawling her eyes out the second night, New Year's Eve, so I drove back the next day to go get her, took her back to Atlanta with me, we went to parks, hung out, went out to dinner with my friend, where I experienced racism, okay, because black people are also racist, so I experienced racism in this situation. Out to dinner, I was with a black man, and he took us out, me and my daughter, to a nice restaurant, nice dinner, and my cup sat empty the whole time, and I finally said, am I not going to get any more water? And he was like, no, women get mad. He's like, black women get mad when they see a black man with white women. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because they think you're stealing their men. And my cousin told me the same thing. She's also with a black man, married to a black man, and the same thing happened down south where they're racist against her because she's with a black man. But I'm sure this lady was probably extra pissed because not only is this guy with a white woman, but also her white kid. So it's clearly not his kid, and he's taking us out to dinner, so she was probably extra pissed. But him and I had these amazing conversations. We were talking about podcasts, businesses. Like, he had a clothing line that he was starting. I was starting podcasts. Like, I had my Outspoken American. Like, we were just like both very business-minded, oriented, and thought we'd make a great team. And so we talked about moving down there. I was gonna do like YouTube videos with Evelyn down there, and like just live, you know. Well, when I got down there, the energy was not what I thought it was, and so I was like, yeah, I don't want to be in this energy. He was very depressed and just not what I thought it was again. So I went back to Minnesota, and a business fell in my lap, you guys. Like, one of my old foremans reached out to me, and she's like, hey, these people really need help with this building in Lindstrom. Can you go help them out with cleaning? And I said, sure. So that then turned into me starting my own construction cleaning company called Ascension Cleaning Services. I had employees and everything. And Avalani actually had a situation happen where some girl I've known since we were kids. I had her watch my daughter, and I had a feeling. I had a really strange feeling because when I go drop, like the last few days, the last couple days, last 2 days I dropped Avalani off, it was her boyfriend who was coming out to meet me, not her. And so then finally, like, so it was one full day, and then the next day I dropped her off again. It was like him coming out, but he was texting me from her phone, like she was texting me, but he was coming out. And so something just didn't feel right. Like my intuition went off, and so I went. I was like, hey, I'm gonna come get Avalani early, and I asked the building. I said, do you guys care if my daughter comes here? I just feel like something's not right with her sitter, and I just need to. I need to go get her. Do you care if she comes back here and is here while I clean? You know, because there's all the construction was done. It was just mostly cleaning at this point. And they're like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. So I ended up having to take my daughter to work after that, like the rest of the time, basically. Actually, no, I found my other friend to watch her for a little bit, and I had to pay her. It was out of the way, though. I had to go all the way to Savage, which is fine, actually, because I was picking up my boyfriend at the time. He also came to work with me and help me, and if it wasn't for him, I would not have gotten through that job site because these people, my employees, sucked, dude. I'm not trying to be a bitch, but they suck. They would go out and smoke the whole day, and like I leave for the day to go do some paperwork stuff, and I come back and nothing was done. It was very frustrating having employees. Um, so then something in me didn't feel right, so I had to go pick her up, and I found out that my friend actually went to jail or something so stupid, probably, whatever. And so I gave them $300 to bail her out, or whatever. I gave them $300 to get her out of jail, whatever, so she can get out. And I said, don't worry about like paying me back, like just there you go. Gave that money away. And then I ended up having my other friend, right, watching her after that. But Avalon did come to work with me a few days. Like for like a week, she came with me, and she helped me out. She saw me hustling, working hard. She wanted to help. She would bring out her little rags and work on the doors. It was so cute. She was on the ladder. It was just cute. She was like 4, I think, at the time. And it was fun. We had fun. Like it was a great time. But then after that, again, it was just too much work that like I had all this money from that, and then I remember at the time I was trying to get off my Adderall. Like my Adderall was making me very irritable. I was very anti-medical establishment. Felt like a hypocrite because I'm over here bashing people who use like the medical system, but here I am on Adderall, and I was addicted to it like bad. Like I would abuse it because it's like legal meth where you just chase that high. You just another pill, and I'd break them in half again. So it's like I wasn't like popping full ones, but I was just like constantly, like licking the fucking container and shit at the end of it because it's like like crackhead, Wasn't good, but I got a lot done. I did a lot thing on it. I will say that it made me a good little girl, but it made me disconnect from myself. It made me very irritable. It made me heart race all the time, where I was constantly feeling anxious all the time, which again made me feel irritable. I wasn't getting the proper amount of rest, which then also made me feel irritable. And I just talked to my friend about this, and she was also felt the same way being on it. She couldn't get it anymore. She was on Ritalin and something else. I was on amphetamine salts. But I definitely had an addiction to this. And so then I'm sitting in the car, I'm driving, and it was so weird. It's like this frequency tuned into my radio, and this podcast popped up. Like it was an advertisement for this podcast by Cody Blue. You can look him up. It was called Awakened Underground, and it totally sounded like my kind of like podcast, because I love podcasts. I was always listening to podcasts. I was always educating myself. So then I went and looked at this podcast, and I started listening to it, and it was talking about ayahuasca and how it helped heal his ADHD, helped him get off Adderall, helped heal his ADHD. Like he's more connected to self now. Like just his whole story on this, and I'm like, wow, that's really powerful. Well, I knew somebody down south who was serving that medicine, so I was like, I'm going. Literally, it was like the same week I booked my plane ticket, and I was going to sit with this medicine. And the first night, I brought a journal with, because I went with intention. I didn't go with the intention of, I went with the intention of, and I had never tried psychedelics. I've never been high on psychedelics. It was my first psychedelic experience, like real experience. And so I went down and I journaled what I wanted to get out of it, my intentions behind sitting and all that. And let me tell you something. When you write that stuff down, you are shown the truth. You are shown exactly what your intentions were. Like you literally are answered. All your questions are answered. Lots of things are answered. Things that you didn't even know were real are like, whoa, like what the hell. The first night was extremely traumatizing. I'll share my experiences later with what happened, like the things I saw and everything else later on. One of the things I did see though was the My Lai massacre. If you look that up, I saw the My Lai massacre. I didn't even know what the My Lai massacre was until I came home and was like, what did I just see? I'm like researching the details of what I saw, and the My Lai massacre popped up, where our U.S. Army, RAPED, women and children, and they killed them, women and children. Okay, in the Vietnam War. U.S. Army did this. So America's not what you think it is, and it hasn't been for a long time, which is why I'm not patriotic anymore, which is why I'm speaking the truth. You have this very authoritarian military. They inject people with a bunch of chemicals and toxins in their children. And you see all these military people with PTSD, and they're abusive towards their spouses, and they are crazy and acting crazy, and they can't control their emotions and their tempers. And it's very scary what's happening through our military personnel and the way that they're treated. And veterans get out, and they've been completely psychologically damaged, that they can't even function in normal life anymore, which is why you're seeing so many suicides. There's a lot wrong in our country. A lot wrong in our country that I started seeing. Well, then fast forward to a new relationship where he was on these meds, he was on 4 different medications. I read his side effects. He was very suicidal. I read his fluoxetine, where it says those who are on antidepressants are more likely to commit suicide than those not on antidepressants. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. And then, like, he was begging me to kill him for the rest of his money in his account. And I was like, what is going on? I was like, no, I don't care about money. I just want you to be healthy and okay. I don't, like, what are you talking about? He was like, please, we can make it look like an accident. And I'm like, I was scared, you guys. I was like, oh my god, I don't, like, what the hell, you know? And he didn't really have a lot of patience for Avalani, which I understood because, like, whatever. But here's the deal: me and this relationship, we confided a lot in each other. He was the first guy that made me feel seen, heard, and validated. And we like, talked. We went to middle school together, so we were talking about a lot of people from, like, the past, and just, like, I got clarity on a lot of different people's lives and learned about people's lives, which was a really cool experience. I learned a lot. I don't have any regrets in that relationship. It really helped, like, heal me in many ways. But he struggled. So I saw what mental unstableness looks like because I experienced it. I just witnessed it. So then, after that relationship, I was really broken up by that relationship. So I just continued on with my healing journey. I was sharing my healing videos on my TikTok, like just my whole healing journey about everything, which is scary because I was too scared to share it to Facebook because I didn't know if what people were gonna. I didn't want to out people on Facebook and get yelled at for posting about my family on Facebook. So I shared it on TikTok, my whole healing journey, things I've been through and experienced, whatever else. So on TikTok, here comes this guy, Andrew Conboy, who pops up. Well, that name sounds familiar because I went to Rosemont, but I didn't, like, think much of it. And then I saw what he was talking about, and I was like, oh my god, like, he is very smart. He's talking about the same things I have been sharing about that I've been called crazy for, but now everyone's like, oh, Steph was crazy, but now she's right. All the things that everyone deemed me crazy for all came out as true. Because I was on the internet and I was researching, I was finding out things, like doing investigations and stuff. I know how to investigate stuff. Okay, and I was not respected, which is fine. Hey, I forgive everybody. So anyways, this guy is like, I mean, he had some goofy videos out there, and I just watched them. I just watched everything, and whenever I saw he was funny, he was silly, and he was going through a lot. Like, I could tell he was also had traits of a traumatized person. He had a very dysregulated nervous system, which I'm people's mirrors, so I would mirror some of that behavior back at him, where we were just like, our communication is not good in the beginning. It still is not always the best, but it's not good in the beginning. Again, I could tell he was going through something very traumatic. So he told me things. He told me that he thought that, or he believed that his dad and his wife were having an affair and poisoned his mom. And I was like, that is wild, because I know who his dad was. I went to Rosemont High School. And I was like, why do you believe that? Like, what makes you believe that, you know? So he shared with me everything. He said, you know, his mom told him a week before she died she was purple. And if you read the police report, it matches up. You guys, it says that she was her body was purple and still very warm to the touch. And then he told me that his ex-wife told him a month before his mom died, your mom's fat and is going to die soon. And after his mom died, his mom was actually documenting her abusive behavior. I don't know why Andrew wasn't, but his mom was. He has her notes from it, of all the things that she was doing. She would, like, throw food away whenever his mom made any food. She chased him out of the house with a hammer. Andrew had to run out of his basement window and run to his parents' house because he was afraid of her. After his mom died, she sent him videos of her shooting guns, saying she uses his head as target practice, which he told his dad about, and his dad said file an OFP on her. So Andrew sent her a text saying, you've stalked me, you've done this. You sent me videos of you shooting guns. Like, I have a screenshot of the text, and she submitted it to court, the text. So, silly girl. She just submitted his text to court, and I can share that later. But anyways, so then about a month, 2 months, and then she also tells him, I'm going to put you in jail for having a new girlfriend. This is all after his mom died, okay? And he was like, you can't do that. Well, what does she do? She goes to the court, you guys, and she filed an order for protection against Andrew by committing perjury to the court, painting him as this, like, crazy delusional person. Like, the things that she's writing in there, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I mean, she's saying he's a drug problem, he's doing this, he broke her phone, like, just, like, going off about, like, just completely creating a character that does not exist in real life, okay? She created her own character, her own fears she projected into the court, and then she also put Andrew's father, Tim Conboy, as a witness all over this order of protection. And I'm like, why would she do that? Why would she use his dad as a witness? That's weird. Well, then, I didn't even read this stuff yet. I actually read this later on, so I wouldn't go read his court documents until I saw his Facebook where he, like, got a video. He went live one day. He was on Pilot Knob, and he saw his dad and his wife meet at the church after the court said that Andrew couldn't be around his daughters, but yet his dad could, who his mom apparently told Andrew something happened with his dad and one of his daughters. I don't know. He didn't believe her at first, and now he believes her. And then he also has memories of his childhood of something that his dad did to him. So, and other stuff. He told me other things about his childhood that I was like, oh my god, dude. Like, oh my god. And I can't legally share this shit right now because I have my constitutional rights violated by the Dakota County judicial system, which Andrew kept telling me, my dad's got connections, he knows people, he was able to put a civil commitment on me and all this other stuff. And at first I thought that was crazy. He was telling me that they had him civilly committed and that his dad has the connections. I mean, I believed him because I knew who his dad was, but I also was like, but really, you know, I questioned it. I questioned it a lot. Sometimes I questioned his sanity because he was very traumatized. He had a very dysregulated nervous system where I was like, is this guy crazy? You know? So then I observed. I just was patient, observed. I saw how he was treating my daughter, and it was like unlike anything I've ever seen before. Like the most patient, kind, gentle man I'd ever met. I never felt disrespected by him in the sense that like he was derogatory towards me or like just trying to whatever. He was always very respectful, very gentle, very kind to me and my daughter. Like he like grabbed toys for her to play with, and he'd push me to swing outside. We'd go for walks. Like it was just like we weren't drinking together. We were always reading. We'd go to the library together. We were just kind of adventuring out, traveled together. Like it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this guy. But again, just some stuff that happened where I was like questioning, you know, his sanity sometimes because of what he was going through. So anyways, then he's held at gunpoint with my 5-year-old by the Appleby Police Department, where I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I start requesting his documents, his arrest complaints, and I went to the courthouse and I read his court documents. And I read through all of them, and I saw very contradicting statements from Kirsten between the OFP and the civil commitment and all these things. And I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, this is a conspiracy. They are covering up something because why would his dad help her take Andrew down like that? Well, that makes me believe that the murder part is true. Right? That he did poison his mom because Andrew's statements, like, he has legitimate reasons why he believes this. And so then I'm like, okay, I actually, like, believe you now. Like, after I started seeing, I'm like, oh my god. So I tried to call Appleby Police Department. I said, hey, I have reason to believe that these people are using law enforcement to harass an innocent person. And the officer laughed at me, you guys. He's like, you think they're using us to harass somebody? And I'm like, yes. He kind of shooed me off the phone, whatever. And I'm like, okay, what the hell? I let go. I called Kendra Rubin. I said, are you guys investigating the murder, this death of Kathleen Conboy? And she goes, don't call me back unless you have documents, basically is what she said to me. And I thought, wow, that's rude. Like, what kind of documents do you need me to have? Like, I'm just saying, like, where this investigation's at, you know, basically. So then, I went, actually, so I hadn't read the court documents yet. I only requested the arrest complaint. So then I went to the courthouse and I read all the other stuff. That's where I found they were conspiring against him. And then I started posting about it on Facebook and I was a little reckless in the beginning because I was upset. I was upset that, one, he's being abused that way, but also my daughter was held at gunpoint. Like, no, until you go through that, nobody will ever understand. So, and then I told people that, they're like, oh, are you sure? Like, they, like, didn't believe it. And I'm like, what are you, like, people are so quick to, like, judge and just, like, whatever, believe what they want. So, anyways, I go to the courthouse and read the documents, and that's where I found out they were conspiring against him. And that's when I started posting on Facebook, and I was like, oh, hell no. So then they filed harassment restraining orders against me by committing perjury. They committed perjury. Kirsten Conboy told the court that I made threats of violence to her and her daughters, got this HRO, harassment restraining order, approved on me, so I filed for a court hearing. The same day I had court with his father, who also filed one on me, had it denied multiple times, had to keep refiling it. Then he had his buddy judge come in and approve it, all based on hearsay. Amy Harvey, his daughter, was in his court hearing and was also in Kirsten's court hearing. The same Amy Harvey who has been contacting us, not lately because we've been sharing it on Facebook, so she stopped, because we record every conversation, or started to. She is calling Andrew, telling him that they're going to throw us both in jail and call Child Protective Services on me if I don't delete my Facebook posts. I was sticking up for Andrew. All I was doing was investigating the court documents, and I was sharing my investigation on my TikTok. And I was writing about it on my Facebook. But my TikTok videos is where I was really like speaking and sharing and reading off documents and whatever else, talking about the documents I was reading. And so they tried to silence me. And again, his dad got his approved, all based on hearsay, zero proof provided to the court of my harassment. And then Amy's in there, and she's like, Your Honor, she's posting posts like collusion. Like, because I posted the definition of collusion, because they colluded with the court. They're colluding together. It's conspiracy. Like, I did post that. Yeah, thank you for saying that on court transcript. So after my court hearing, I actually asked for transcripts, and I was $140. Well, I'm not working right now, and I'm not paying money for that, which is bullshit. I should be allowed to record these court hearings so I can have my proof of what happened that day, because, again, I kept asking for evidence of my harassment to Timothy Conboy, and he had to provide zero evidence. The judge never made him act. He didn't provide any. So then I court Kirsten. So the judge approves it all based on hearsay, saying I can't talk anywhere on any website about this petitioner. On my and I have to delete all my posts about it. I have to delete all my posts. That's obstruction of justice. Tim Armiger is in trouble for obstruction of justice. Okay, that he's a criminal. These people are criminals. So anyways, I court 2 weeks later with Adam Johnson, and he tells Kirsten to stop looking at my posts. He goes, "This is not a harassment. I cannot approve this. Just stop looking at her posts." And again, Amy also in that court hearing with Kirsten, Andrew's sister, and I thought, what the fuck, dude? So I told Andrew, Andrew, I was like, you know, your sister was at court with Kirsten, and he asked his sister, he's like, why are you at court with Kirsten? And she's like, why would Stephanie tell you that? Oh, well, of course I'm gonna tell him. Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? Like, you people are crazy, dude. Like, these people are actually legit, like, clinically insane. They're trying to claim that Andrew is, because he's pointing out insurance fraud. He's pointing out details about this case that make it look very suspicious. I can still sleep. Oh, he's pointing out like just contradictory statements, just a story. He's sharing a story. He's sharing videos of Kirsten like slamming the door on her kids at her house and throwing food outside, and then proceeding to tell Andrew that he owes her $10,000 and she's not taking the girls. I don't know, it was a whole video he posted, but anyways, all that stuff happened, and he's sharing the truth, and I started sharing the truth about what I was seeing, what I was witnessing, and they came after me for that, which is very scary. Now I still have court. I have court again on the 27th, because Kirsten Conboy is abusing the court system. She has not allowed Andrew to see or speak to his daughters for over 2 years. I cannot imagine being Andrew and not being able to have any contact at all with my daughters. And then when I try, I get arrested at gunpoint, because that's what she did. She told law enforcement that he was contacting her, but really the messages were saying, let me talk to my daughters. He wasn't being derogatory. He wasn't saying, fuck you, bitch. I've never, still to this day, I have never heard him speak derogatory or belittling about anybody in his family. He's been very quiet and silent. There's some things that he has shared with me, but like, he's been very respectful. He just obviously is upset by what they did to him. I know he is. He misses his girls, like I said. I've seen the videos of him and his girls playing. I could tell they love their daddy. When he went off to college, Avalon missed him, so I know his girls miss him. And what she was doing is psychologically damaging. And I know what she was doing because I've seen the people do this in the court. I've seen them abuse the court for things like this. But this was the worst case I was seeing. Like, he was literally crucified through the courts. And then on the court documents, after she had him arrested at gunpoint for trying to contact his daughters, on the new divorce documents that I read, she tries to claim he's an absent father. And then she's making fun of him because he's talking about the benefits of pine. Like, pine tree outside's medicine. It's medicinal. And then he's also talking about interstellar space travel. He's a really smart man. Like, talking about topics that other people don't understand or ignorant about because they're stupid. I wouldn't say they're stupid. They're just ignorant. They lack knowledge, okay? So then, even in these court documents too, guys, I read that she wanted to have full access, like basically be in charge of his life. Like, she wanted a full power of attorney or something like that over his life. I think that's what it was. It was something. I don't know. She wanted to have all control over his life. Like she'd be his caregiver, caretaker, whatever. And I'm like, Like, I was scared, you guys. When I read these court documents, my heart was beating for him. Like, I felt anxious for him reading these court documents. Like, what the fuck, dude? This is, like, psychotic, scary. Like, this is psychological thriller movie stuff, what she's done, and what Tim Conboy has done, and what Amy Harvey has done. Like, my life has been a movie. I've been afraid to leave my house. I had a Jeep roll by and snap a photo of my house. Like, they hired a private investigator on me, I'm pretty sure, to do that. Andrew said he's seen his sister's truck in my neighborhood. He said he saw Kirsten's car in my neighborhood. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what did I get myself involved in? I actually called my mom at one point because I was like, Mom, I'm scared. I don't know what I got myself involved in, but I'm really scared right now. And then, of course, she comes in and she's like, you posted this on Facebook, you posted that on Facebook. Like a status that had nothing to do with her, she's bringing up. Just like Kirsten did. Kirsten did the same thing. She brought up statuses and her HRO against me where she's harassing me and she's bringing up things that have nothing to even do with her. Or Andrew. Something supposed to have nothing to do with Andrew. She was trying to defame my character to the court, make me look bad to the court. She harassed me and abused me through the court. All for sharing the truth about what she was doing to Andrew on the internet. So, I know for a fact Kirsten Conboy was the abusive one towards Andrew. Again, his mom was documenting it, and I saw proof of it by her court documents, by her statements, her contradictory statements. I don't know what the punishment should be when it comes to somebody abusing the court system like this, but I know how to investigate a crime, and I know what I'm seeing as a crime. And the fact that there's nowhere to report this crime to, because the Rosemont police, I've emailed Michael Dahlstrom, I've emailed police officers all around the fucking Dakota County, okay? Trying to get them to investigate this, and they say, oh, we don't know what to do, it's out of our jurisdiction. One officer from South St. Paul, I think, called me back, and she's like, hey, I can't do anything about this, but you should go on Crime Watchers and report this. I'm like, what the hell is Crime Watchers? I'm like, so you're telling me I can't report a fucking crime? I can't report a conspiracy taking place? I can't report obstruction of justice? I can't report collusion? I can't report defamation of character? I can't report court abuse? There's nowhere to report court abuse? And after I started speaking up on Andrew's story, I had multiple people reaching out to me about their stories. I had 3 dads, including Andrew's, so 3 dads total, that I know about in Dakota County, where the moms are filing order for protections and using it to keep the kids away from the dads. Like, they're using it to abuse the fathers and the children by not allowing them to have contact with them, and then using it to have them arrested. That's what these women are doing. That's what our court system is being used for. So yes, I did speak up on the internet because I'm like, this is wrong. Like, morally, this is wrong, and I have a voice. My voice is my weapon, and I will always speak up. I will always stand up for truth, no matter who it is. I don't care if it's my family. I don't care if it's Andrew's family. I don't care. What I was seeing was morally wrong. And then when I was at Target, I would see people wearing Rosemont apparel, and it wasn't that many people. It was probably like 2 or 3 people total I stopped. And the first people I stopped asked me, I was like, can I ask your opinion of a certain staff member at Rosemont? And they said, yeah. The first girls I asked, I said, what's your opinion of Tim Conboy? And they said, well, we don't really know at all because they didn't have to deal with him, but they said that their friends hated him. And I thought, okay. When I talked to another person who another person didn't really have an opinion, I thought, okay, whatever. Well, then this other girl, she was wearing all Rosemont sports apparel. I think her name is Julia, and I have the recorded statement on my phone because I was like, can I record your statement? After she told me, I was like, can I record your statement? Like, I need this. And she's like, yeah, that's fine. So, of course, in the recording, she's a high schooler. She does sound a little scared at the end of her recording because of, whatever. But, I asked her, I said, what's your opinion? And she said that he should not be working around children. She questions his morals. He's not a very nice person at all. And I'm like, okay, so if Rosemont asked the students to do a survey on their most favorite teacher and on their least favorite staff member, I wonder how many people would have that name on there. And here's what I realized, that half the people from Rosemont liked this man and half the people from Rosemont hated this man. When I started posting about him on my Facebook, I had people reaching out to me, people I've never even met before or knew from Rosemont, telling me about their stories, about, like, that they want to help take this man down because of what he did to their family members and stuff. And I'm like, wow, this man is not who people think he is. And then the stories that Andrew told me about his upbringing, this man is not who people think he is. And this is one thing, karma always comes out. The truth will always come out, and the truth is coming out, okay? I could possibly go to jail for this Facebook Live video because I'm legally not supposed to be talking about this individual until February 5th, but that's a piece of paper, and that's Nazi shit. Show me your papers, show me your papers. They try to file criminal charges on me already, where he want to put me in jail or Facebook posts. I'm not a danger to anybody. Andrew's not a danger to anybody, but yet Andrew has spent a consecutive of 5 days in jail, solitary confinement for 5 days for phone calls and text messages, and then he was held at gunpoint for phone calls and text messages. So whatever's happening in our country right now is very terrifying. Every time I get a knock on my door, I'm fucking scared. So I know how these people, these immigrants and stuff like that, are feeling, because I've been living that way for the past 2 years. Andrew has been living that way for the past 2 years of law enforcement coming in and trying to arrest us for speaking the truth on the internet. That's where our country's at right now, you guys. That's terrifying, okay? I am scared every day, but I will always stick up for truth. And I appreciate all the people who have reached out to me, who listen to my videos, who watch all my stuff, and they're like, thank you for speaking up. Like, you're helping humanity. Like, you've given me the courage to speak about my court corruption, my court abuse, all of that. So please use your social media platforms to share your story. And I know it's scary, and you're gonna have haters, you're gonna have naysayers, you're gonna have people who are like, that didn't happen, because they don't know your situation, or they might make up their own assumptions. Like, even when I started speaking up for Andrew, I had friends reaching out to me like, oh, that can never happen, the court would never approve that if it wasn't true, Stephanie. Oh, he's schizophrenic, have you seen his videos? I'm like, have you ever been in this person's presence before? Have you actually ever been around this person to actually make a statement about his mental health? Oh no, you haven't? So how can you claim these things if you've never been around this person? Because I am not seeing mental unstableness. I'm seeing a traumatized person. I'm seeing somebody who's extremely traumatized. And now, after living in my house for the past year and a half, he's definitely a lot more calmed down. Like, he's like, we don't, it's gotten a lot better. We both are, have simmered down. We have a baby together. He is literally the best dad I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And again, if my child missed him and he went off to college, he had to go to college because Kirsten Conboy kept putting warrants out on him. So when he went to college, when he applied for Michigan State University, he actually had a warrant out on his name, and he still got accepted to college. And his dad emailed him. He told his dad and his sister he got accepted to college, and they're like, no, you didn't. That's not true. And sure enough, he did. I drove him to the airport so he could go off to college. And we stayed in contact, obviously, but Avon really missed him while he was gone, because that's how amazing he is. He treats us all very well. He's like, and Kirsten knows he's not a bad dad. Kirsten and I both know he's not a bad dad, but what she did was abusive. She abused the court based on her own fears, or she's trying to cover up a crime. I mean, there's a lot of ways this situation can go, but people need to be aware of what's taking place in our courtrooms. And just because there's a document in the court or even a news article or whatever else does not make it truth. I just want you to know that people can abuse the court system. Okay, people who are registered offenders on the internet may not be what you think it is. People can make things up in court and destroy people's lives. I've had people coming out to me sharing their stories about what's happened to them through these court hearings, through petty moms or dads, through CPS, DCF, all these organizations just making up their own assumptions about situations, making up their own narratives, and it being taken as truth in the court. That's scary. That's a very scary thing to be experiencing and to be witnessing. People are having their constitutional rights violated all over the country, and this has been happening for a very long time. So I don't think America is what we were taught it was in school. I think we were indoctrinated into believing something that's not true. That's from my research, that's from my own personal witness, my own everything I've witnessed. And that's what people need to be wary of, is that be careful what you're listening to, be careful what you're watching, be careful what you're reading. Because it's not always true. Take it with a grain of salt. Do your own investigations, your own research into people. Even Tim Conboy tried to say that in court, that my behavior is erratic and I appear to be decompensating. I was upset on the internet. My videos, I probably was excited in my videos because I could not believe what I was witnessing and seeing. But what I was seeing was terrifying, you guys, and I'm still, like, I've calmed down a lot. If you watch my my videos, I still have them. I still have all my videos. They're private right now on TikTok, and I will be making them public again once this HRO is up, because I have a right to share the investigation. And I've rewatched all the videos, and I never called for harassment on any of these people. I never called for people to harass these people. I called for the Rosemount police to do an investigation on these people because of what I was reading in the court documents. That's what I was doing on the internet. I was calling for an investigation on this whole case by reading actual court documents. If the Rosemount police, Apple Valley police, Lakeville police, whoever actually read these documents, actually had a fucking brain, an awareness, and read through these court documents, it's very clear signs of a conspiracy. They conspired against Andrew using the courts. They abused him through the courts, you guys. And then they kept trying to put him back in the mental hospital after he was there for 2 weeks, and the hospital wouldn't take him back because he's not mentally unstable. He has legitimate reasons to believe his mother was poisoned by his father, and he committed insurance fraud, okay? The death certificate or whatever says natural causes, but the insurance says accidental, which means you get paid more money. when it's accidental. Like, there's stuff that's happening in this case. And then the officer who works with him at Rosemont High School called off the Hennepin County medical examiner, so no examination was even done on his mom. So how can you claim how she died? Her body was still very warm to the touch, but yet he tells paramedics that around this time I woke up and she was breathing, and then this time I woke up and she wasn't breathing, but she was cold to the touch. How was she cold to the touch after an hour? That doesn't make sense. And then again, the police officer or whoever, the police report says that she was still very warm to the touch. And it also says she was purple, which matches up with Andrew's statement. But not one person from Rosemount Police Department has been willing to sit down and get Andrew's statements, because why? Because Tim Conboy, Kirsten Conboy, and Amy Harvey conspired against Andrew at court, defamed his character to the court, made the whole town believe that he's crazy, which I know his videos did not help you guys, but what he was going through is extremely traumatizing, and if it wasn't for his crazy videos and the things he was putting out there, he probably would have never popped up on my algorithm, and I would have never been here to help him and see the truth. Because I actually did a real investigation like a real journalist does, and I was seeing very clear signs of collusion, obstruction of justice, defamation of character. Like, this is a conspiracy. And that's why anyone who talks shit about Andrew, I just have no patience for, and people who are disrespectful of him, I have no patience for, because he is, like, literally, I've had friends say, I wish I had a guy like that when they're around him. I've had my friends say that. I wish I had a guy something like that. Like, he is so thoughtful, so kind. Yeah, there's things that he has pissed me off about because we had two completely different upbringings, so our mindsets were not necessarily the same, and they're still not the same. But we're two people coming together, trying to figure it out. We have a baby together, cute little baby boy on. And our baby's really happy, and we make a great team. Like, whenever we go anywhere, like a hotel or anything, we tag team. Like, we just make the best. We parent pretty much the same, and we just allow kids to be kids. We don't Heil Hitler control authoritarian households, because the government is you guys. You are the actual government. It's you people who join the police force. It's you people who join the military. We are the ones who are signing up to be basically Nazis. That's what America is. It's the Christian Nazi country. And it is scary, okay? So really look at what you're believing and what you've been taught, and just question everything, because it's not always what you think it is. This is almost a 2-hour video, and again, I'm putting this out there. If you have a story to share about the court, we're going to be starting a podcast about court abuse, DCF abuse, CPS abuse, all of it, parental abuse, parent alienation, all of this, because we all have a story to share. And I'm getting people from all over the country reaching out to me about their stories, and it's very alarming. Like, this is an epidemic, dude. This is something that's very serious. It's happening. It's just been happening for a very long time. This is not something that's new. This has been going on for decades, because I'm seeing in the comment section people who grew up in the foster care system, who were taken from loving parents, who maybe made a mistake, got too drunk, or maybe were on drugs or something. They're still being taken care of, and they were removed from their parents' care, put into situations where they were abused in all different ways. So yes, I do believe our government and our government, but our court judicial system, I do believe that they are involved in child trafficking. I do believe that judges are domestic terrorists, because they're signing off on documentation about people's lives that they've never been around, they've never met. They're just taking a piece of paper in the court as truth, and creating their own assumptions, or believing somebody else that's making up their own narratives about somebody. That is terrifying. That is very terrifying, the state that we're living in this country, and that's what we all need to become aware of, okay? Hopefully I don't go to jail for this video. If I do, come save me, bail me out, please. I'm a breastfeeding mom. I'm not a danger to anybody. I've never harassed anybody. I've never threatened anybody. I'm only sharing the truth, okay? I'm the one who's being harassed, stalked, and threatened by the Conboys. All of them. Amy Harvey, Timothy Conboy, and Kirsten Conboy have harassed and stalked me, have scared me, have scared Andrew. I have videos of Tim showing up to Andrew's house after Andrew tried to file a harassment restraining order on his dad and got denied by the court. His father showing up to his house to come basically harass him, to tell him to delete a post because he posted about Officer Larson calling off the Hennepin County medical examiner. And then he called, I had the phone call, the video recording of his dad, which I'll be posting after February 5th, of his dad screaming, "Delete the post! Delete the post!" Like, screaming on the phone. So scary stuff happening in my life. I'm raising my kids differently than the way I was raised, because I don't agree with the way that things happened, but I also had to learn from it, and it's made me a stronger person. And I do love all my family members. I do love everybody. I don't hate anybody, but I am going to start calling out the things that I am seeing wrong, and I have a right to share my story. I have a right to share what's happened to me. I have a right to share what's happened to Andrew because I'm a witness to everything that's happened. So I'm going to do just that, and I will continue posting, sharing about it, and getting the word out there on how our court system is being used. Okay? I love you. Have a great day.